Let's hit record. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to what I am hoping is going to be the last goddamn session of Trails into Reverie. Hi, Neko. Now, that sounds like I haven't been enjoying Reverie. I have, but at the same time, Reverie just feels like it's been trying to hold on for dear life, you know? And I'm just like, okay, Reverie, you don't gotta hold on anymore. Or, let go! Oh, Reverie. Let these streams end. But, yeah. So today we are going to be tackling the rest of Beyond the Reverie. And my down arrow is not working again, because of course it's not. I am definitely going to have to take a break from this. I might even just take next week off because of how much BS is happening with the schedule next week. I'll decide that, and then tomorrow I'll probably finish up the thingy. But anyways, all I do know is that I am glad that most of this is just going to be me hitting the X button, which works perfectly, and reading out a bunch of text. Also, Neko, how is my quality? I'm hearing a little bit of static in my headphones. Is my voice coming through clear? I kind of need to know that. Especially considering today is going to be a lot of reading, so having it's staticky, or it is clear. Here, because I asked, is it clear, and you said it is. Okay. Sorry, I'm a little today. Hey, it's clear. Okay, thank you. Sorry for confusing that. That's my bad. I realized it after I said it. I apologize. But regardless, we did another Hot Springs Paradise last time. Now it's time for an unconventional student. Let's see if we can't finish this off, shall we? April of the year 1208 of the Septium calendar. Aramis Academy is a famous educational institution in the Calvard Republic of Edith. Oh, so we're getting some Calvard stuff. Interesting. So Beyond the Reverie might as well have been entitled Previewing Calvard, because that's basically what this is. This is all just a big preview for the Calvard arc. Interesting. I almost feel like I should have saved these until we got to whatchamacallit. It'd be funny if these were actually included in the backstory section of Trails Through Daybreak. That'd be interesting. Am I going to read it again on camera? Well, that's debatable. Because, I already know all this, so at this point, I mean, at that point, I should be more clear. So, the name derives from an artist central to Calvard's democratic revolution 100 years ago. This was also reflected in its goal of nurturing new talent and helping to forge a brighter future for the new republic. The Academy placed great value on traditional education, of course, but it also encouraged the perspectives of new cultures and values, attracting them as an independent mind from across Lemuria. Attracting many an independent mind from across Lemuria. It was a storied place of learning that reflected the Republic's views as a whole. This story, for its part, begins not long after the Springtime Festival held yearly to welcome the new student body. It was just another morning at the Academy, countless students shuffling through its grounds, when one of them in particular happened to draw an unusual amount of attention. The young lady had long, soft violet hair, crowned with a black ribbon. Her figure had been cut very respectably respectably as she matured into a young woman of 17 years, and yet her face still held traces of girlhood days bygone. The beauty she was, she never failed to turn inquisitive heads as she strolled along. Yeah, this is one of the things that has been spoiled from me about the Calvert arc. Really, the only things I've really been actually really spoiled on is the presence of earlier characters. So, for example, I knew Ren was in Calvert during the Kuros, and obviously it makes perfect sense why characters like Risha, Zin, Kilika, and Walter would all be in the Kuros because they're kind of from Calvert, so having them not show up would make zero sense, especially since Zin and Walter's storyline kind of just stopped. They kind of slammed on the brakes so we could go deal with the Crossbell and Erebonia stuff for 6 games. So, well, 7 games now, but you get my point. So we could go and deal with that for 7 games, right? And then with so yeah, that's what I know, right? So you've got those 4 that I mentioned, and Zin, Kilika, Walter, and Risha. You have Ren, and then you have Fee also in there, as we saw with the Trails Through Daybreak trailer. An interesting assortment of characters. To kind of balance it out. Now, I'm hoping that the approach that they take with all of these side characters is the same approach they took to Estelle and Joshua being in the Crossbell arc. They're continuing their character arcs, but the main focus is on whatever the Kuro team's designation is, which I actually do not know, right? So. Her name was Ren Bright. 8. She was a second-year student from Janus Royal Academy in Laburl, now studying at Aramus as part of an exchange program. She had only just arrived in the spring. Ren's goal in attending was not to further her education. She had been considered highly gifted since she was a child, and having already earned several doctorates in years past, and there was little more a new academy could reasonably teach her. Her goal in reality was to use it as a front to operate freely in Calvert, as she usually does. It was hard to find one better than being a student. She already found the role relatively foolproof during her time at Janus. Even if there were limits to how much a student could get away with, society as a whole was soft on school children. To move freely would also require drawing as little attention as possible. She aimed to conduct herself modestly as any elegant young lady who wished to remain unseen should during her time at Aramus. Now there's a line I've heard more so much. You know what's funny? I don't think I've actually sat down and watched Fight Club. Hilariously enough. I know what happens in Fight Clubs, and I know that the actual Fight Club is not the main focus of that story, but there was just one very big problem with this plan. Good morning, Miss Bright. Isn't she just gorgeous? Look, I see her. She's so beautiful, and everyone says she's just as smart, too. All she had to do was walk down the hall to be showered with greetings and whispers of envy and admiration. Her looks alone were already enough to make her the talk of the school, but after one of the teachers let slip that she received a perfect score on her entrance exam, there was suddenly not a single person who didn't know her name. The other students cared not how much she wanted to avoid drawing attention. She was getting it whether she liked it or not. Well, Ren, the funny thing is that you can use that to your advantage, right? Hey, everybody's, you have the spotlight on you, but what's funny is you're hiding in plain sight. You might just go ahead and ask the 2003 version of the Shredder about that sometime. Specifically the one from seasons 1 through 3. Hey, because that Shredder is awesome. This one was actually a really good villain. I mean, I know Ren's not a villain anymore, but the same principle can apply. Right? Naturally, not everyone was pleased with the booming popularity this new transfer student had attained in less than a month. While most were busy fawning over Ren's arrival that morning, another group watched the charade it unfold from the shadows, echoing audible tuts of displeasure. Ren had yet to be enrolled in any club, so as soon as the day's lessons had come to an end, she packed her belongings and stood to leave. A word, if I may, Miss Bright? It was a fellow classmate surrounded by a small faction of students clearly loyal to their King Bee. Certainly. Though instinct told her this was not going to be a conversation she wanted to have, she made an effort to pretend otherwise. She would not be provoked into behaving as anything but a mature, modest young lady. I've been wanting to get to know you better for some time now, you see, so I was wondering if you might join me for dinner this evening. Hello, Rexor. We're just getting into the Kuro preview Ren edition. We had the Reen edition, now the Shizuna edition, now we have the Ren edition. Yep. Which is funny because it doesn't surprise me that this one is about Ren. Because as I actually mentioned it just before you got here, it's the one thing that's been spoiled for me about the Kuros is who shows up from the previous games. Actually, what's funny is 2 of them were spoiled for me. Literally when I looked up the voice actor for Shizuna yesterday. Yeah, I know that one. She's playable, Fee's playable. And then Zin, Kilika, and Risha are, show up. So. The boy, Roland Griffith, presented a gentlemanly smile. Oh God, if he's got a friend named Guts Ren, run like the fucking wind and keep away from him. Ren was very much used to being asked out like this, and never once did she accept. She always made up some excuse to turn them down. Today would be no different. I'm ever so sorry, but I'm afraid I have something urgent to take care of after school today. Some other time, perhaps. This was usually enough to get them to give up, but Roland was a persistent one. Well, that won't do. I have something very important to discuss with you, and I've already booked us a table at a very fine restaurant, so we could discuss in detail. Is there really no way your business can wait? There was something ominous about his smile. Ren couldn't help but be curious what he was thinking. I'm afraid it can't. I'm so sorry after you've gone out of your way to prepare ahead of time. Still, I could spare a little time now, so I'd be happy to talk here if that's alright. So not tonight, then. A pity. Roland's tone read one less of genuine sadness and more irritation that things were not going according to plan. And this has got me curious. Is this he's trying to assert his dominance and basically he beat down the new kid? Or is he trying to get in her pants? Yes. See, Ellie? I can actually ask questions and not just fucking assume that a guy is a perv. Hell, this guy's got more fucking reason for there to be a goddamn question mark on the is he a perv question. That's just because of the manner he's doing this. I'm sorry. I think that's a plot that whole Lloyd as a perv subplot is just going to be the one thing I'm never going to be able to let go. I'm just never going to be able to let that go. So I apologize. I know I'm a broken record with that shit. But it's going to continue because it just keeps coming up. Anyways. Well aware that he let slip his true feelings on the matter, he quickly composed himself and smiled. Now is better than never, I suppose. This does concern everyone in the room, so perhaps it's all for the better, said here. To this, Ren glanced around the room, noticing that only she, Roland, and his lackeys were all who remained. And most were likely on their way home or in their respective clubs, while some would have ordinarily been in the classroom at this hour. She was certain none wanted anything to do with Roland and his group. He took a step toward her, then began to speak. I am well aware, Miss Bright, that you have come all the way from distant Liberl to be here. It's not unusual for students to transfer from afar for family reasons, but I hear in your case you came to Calvar just to learn in these hallowed halls. I cannot help but deeply admire your spirit and thirst for knowledge. Pure theatrics, this one. At the same time, I worry about you. Brilliant you may be, but living alone in a far-off land must be a terribly lonely and challenging affair. Yeah, he wants in her pants. This is if Lloyd talked like this, then Ellie treating him like he's some kind of womanizer would make perfect sense. Hence, thank you, Reverie, for giving me a contrast so that I can finally use it to have an actual argument against that stupid subplot. We all need someone to depend on in our lives, and that would be especially so in your situation. So if you don't mind me saying so, Miss Bright, I believe you're in need of someone to look after you, to protect you. God, every sentence is just further cementing this. And that's never mind the music. The music that's playing during this. Because this is the creepy mystery music. I need to AFK for a bio break. I'll be right back. Sorry about this. Sorry about that. One of those false alarms. Alright. At last he shut up, giving Raymond a chance to respond. She scrutinized him closely. In short, you'd like me to join your circle of friends, correct? Roland's smarmy smile broadened. His father was a senator in the Republic's parliament, meaning he had a significant amount of political power. His son used this to his full advantage. Ever since joining the academy, Roland had used his father's name to form a faction of sorts among the students, forcibly building his reputation until he was the leading candidate for student council president in the election staged in half a month's time. His goal, Ren assumed, was to bring the hottest talk of the academy into his faction to further secure his chances of victory. So it's less he wants in her pants and more, or wants wants her to be on his side, so that he can basically have everybody vote for him. Oh look, the popular girls. Yeah, political maneuvering, exactly. That's I suck at naming the maneuver, putting words into it. Obviously, but yeah, that is the perfect way to say this. That's because that's exactly what this is. He is pulling political maneuvers. He wants to be student council president, so he wants Ren, who is a popular girl, one of the most popular girls in school, on his side. Maybe not. More than likely, this is what he's wanting. Her support. That is the minimum that he wants here. And hey, if he has he has a super smart, attractive girlfriend gets a super smart, attractive girlfriend out of this, even better. That's Roland's thinking. This is the kind of creep that Estelle would fucking whack with her staff, and I would fucking cheer. I felt bad when Olivier got whacked with Estelle's stick. This jackass, I would cheer him getting whacked with her stick. Not that Estelle would need to do that, considering, she has a scythe. Yeah, ultraviolence, exactly. Ultraviolence. Which is fitting, because I actually skimmed through my Sky VODs and actually came across the occupation of Genis too, where that meme actually comes from. Because she says it to Gilbert of all characters. Time for ultra-violence. Yeah, she said it to Gilbert. Yeah, that was just before. That was just after Zieg swooped in and kicked his ass. God, I laughed so hard. I gave that alone a positive, because I was like, oh fuck, I have to give that a positive. Zieg kicked Gilbert's ass. That was awesome. I think you'll find that joining us would help you feel much more secure and at home here. Or perhaps you don't get to appreciate just how much of a difference having someone like me backing you would make on the life of an exchange student. True, she mused inwardly. Being in a group of high social standing would make it easier for her to gather information. If she could leverage his father's connections to build more of her own, that would pay itself in dividends in the days to come. The pompous boy had no way of knowing the actual circumstances that brought her to Aramis, but his proposal was, in fact, very beneficial to her. She returned his smile with a modest one of her own as she answered, "You're kind to think so much of me, but I'm afraid I'll have to decline." Clear, unambiguous rejection. Roland's lips were still curled into a smile, but he could not hide the twitch in his brow, nor could his lackeys hide their shock. Ugh. What? I thought all girls wanted bad boys who will treat them like shit. No, only the awful morons who want to be who want guys who will fuck them, impregnate them, and then ditch. For the record, I would never do that. I would take responsibility for my actions, damn it. I actually wondered about that once, if I'm honest, but I don't want to get into that. It never went anywhere here, so. Oh, I'm in the clear, but still. They had, by all accounts, expected her to answer the opposite. Wow. You know, and I thought my fucking line from, what was that, session 2 or 3 of this stream was fucking cancelable. Well, you know, when I did the whole line of, if you know, ladies, if you got wet from anything Reen or Lloyd have said in this franchise, god damn. I almost want to take that back at this point. Yeah, I do agree with that. There is times where, yes, it is, as some people describe it, a accountability culture. The problem is that is so easily abused, it's not even funny, and I really don't want to get into that. There's a reason why there are 2 hashtags in my... that if I ever see those hashtags, that's an instant ban. And I don't think I've ever said that. Actually, I don't think I've ever actually, really said that on camera. Ooh, huh. Well, okay. I kinda have, but that's just more in the broad terms of no hot button topics. Because there's a reason why I try to stay as far away from any and all hot button topics as possible. Unlike some people, but let's not get into that. Because, again, I stream to get away from that shit. Right? I don't need to be... I don't... You know, and that's kind of one of the things... Zolo 11222, thank you for the follow. Yes, exactly. It's not my primary vice. Right? I am not a drama channel. I don't want to be a drama channel. I stay out of all of that. Now, do I hear about stuff? All the goddamn time. But I try to stay away from that. Because there's no point, to me getting involved in that. Because again, it's a slippery goddamn slope, and I just don't want to get into it, right? Right? I just want to sit here in my corner, playing the games I like, reviewing the games, and and expressing how I feel about them, and being welcoming to all people. The easiest way to understand me is a very simple statement that I make. Hey, okay? I don't give a damn about your gender, race, country of origin, or sexual orientation. The only thing that I care about usually is if you're a good person and if you are competent. Those tend to be the two things. Though I look for competence more than in politeness, right? Admittedly, that's more from a professional, I work in retail kind of thing, right? And because I have actually met people that are competent. I've told this story before, but I work retail, and I've been at this, I've been with the same retail company for about 10 years. There was a woman who was hired on, and within like a year or two, she became my manager, and that made perfect sense to me. Oh yeah, plenty. But yeah, because and that made perfect sense. Funny enough, with the lady that became my manager within a year, there was a manager change up, and the at the time current manager said, "All right, I'm going to be transferring to a different store," and yada yada yada. And I just kind of tensed up, like, "Oh no, oh!" And then it's the coworker, and then it was we'll call her HS. Yes, HS is going to be your manager now. Oh, okay, perfect. Perfect. And I visibly tensed. Then she said, "Oh, it's gonna be HS," and it's like, and I immediately relaxed because I was like, "Oh, okay, it's somebody competent taking over. Cool." And that was my reaction. Oh, okay, we're gonna have a competent manager. Okay, we're gonna have another competent manager take over. Okay, good. Whew. Weight off my shoulders. So just give me a sec here. Oh, no. I actually don't mind talking about this stuff, if I'm honest. Honest, Draxor. It's just I gotta be careful with how I talk about it, Hence why the manager in question was referred to, I dubbed her HS, right? Because I was like, yeah. Oh. Are you sure you won't reconsider, Miss Bright? Surely someone as brilliant as yourself can see why accepting my offer would be in your best interest. I fear if you don't now, you may well come to regret it. The last words were a hair slower and deliberate to intimidate her. Yeah, Yeah, slime ball. Well, you don't use intimidation if you're not a slime ball. Oh. In my experience, anyway. Yeah, that's true. Dude, don't even fucking try it. This is the little girl that fucking who intimidated a fucking Grulsritter when she was just a little girl. Like, even Kevin kind of sweated a little bit in encountering her. Now, granted, Pottermodder frickin' helped with that, but that's beside the point. The insensitive jerk. Or as I like to call him after Sky 3, the broken man. The only reason he was an insensitive jerk is because he was a broken man. And even then, there were still traces of the good man underneath. My favorite example is in the prologue of Sky 2. When he first meets Estelle. Hell, yeah, but I love that if you pay attention, you see the layers just immediately. Because in the prologue, when he meets Estelle, he's flirting and all this other stuff. But when he finds out that Estelle is really troubled by something very serious, the switch is immediately flipped. He stops flirting and he's like, if you need somebody to vent at, lay it on me. I'm a traveling priest. I'm willing to listen. Love that. That was a great contrast. Yes. It's one of the reasons why I liked Kevin almost immediately. Yeah, you know what? To be fair, there was a question mark on that. And pretty much, for me, it was pretty much right up until he helped Kurt. The second he helped Kurt, I was like, okay, yeah, no, there's no way in hell this guy's a bad guy. Hey, you cannot convince me he's a bad guy. And yeah, I'm so glad he wasn't too, because honestly, Kevin is one of my favorite characters. He is, and I kind of wish he had more appearances in the series. God, I love his character arc in Sky 3. Oh, his character arc in Sky 3 is just poetic. But of course, we can talk about that more when we get to my big finale stream. Ren, of course, was never going to fall for it. I'll admit it is a tempting proposal, tempting enough to inspire one to consider helping a certain someone win the student council election. If only that someone weren't you. What did you just say? The sudden taunt caught him completely off guard, resulting in a flare of irritation escaping him. Ren, for her part, was unruffled by the change. Yeah, as we said, there's no way in hell you were intimidating Ren, of all fucking people. Dude. I imagine you don't need me to explain why, but I will to be sure. I've been very aware that the threatening glares I always attract on the way to school every morning have been coming from all of you. They have been a constant in my life ever since that just before the festival. All were flabbergasted by the statement, their silence confirming that she had what she said to be true. She continued. Now you have every right to regard me with caution. I am well aware of how much I stand out despite my best efforts. Taking potential threats under your own wing is a strategically sound move, too. However, that your target was so easily able to see through your scheme shows everyone here just how inept you really are. I have better things to do than assist someone so incompetent and small-minded. Hoo hoo hoo! Ren is spitting fire. Damn. I never took Ren to be a wordsmith, but I suppose becoming Joshua's adoptive little sister makes perfect sense. I guess soon to be sister-in-law, but you get my point. With a shrug and sigh in a somewhat dramatic fashion, Ren stood before Roland, his shoulders trembling with rage. Good day to you all. Ren gave a courteous nod of acknowledgement before leaving the room, paying no mind to the wide eyes and open slack jaws she left behind. Yeah, because she ain't going to be bullied into that. So Agate ended up getting pretty beat up from another one of Mom's crazy jobs she threw at him. We did get some good data out of it, but ouch. Your mom is always so funny. That night in the dormitory, Ren and Tito were engrossed in deep conversation through their laptops. Oh, the glow up. But it's always same old with all of you. I'm surprised there's anything of Agate left, if with how often she has him nearly facing death. Sorry, give me a second here. I'm surprised there's anything of Agate left with how often you tell me she has him nearly facing death. You two are in a rut. I know something that could spice things up. Maybe try adding a little romance to the mix, like a couple of bright-eyed lovebirds we know. But we have agreed to go somewhere next week, so we're not in a complete rut. Well, isn't that something? The stairs to adulthood await you, my dear friend. Ren! Tita graduated from the branch campus in Erebonia just as Ren left for Calvert, leaving them no time to spend with one another in person. That wasn't ideal, of course, but from a hint of sadness came the habit of talking like this once a week so they could stay in each other's lives. They discussed anything from their new lives and environments to the fruits of their research, occasionally stumbling into a serious topical matter or two along the way. It sounds like a legal confrontation between the Verne Company and Epstein Foundation is inevitable at this point. I know, I can't believe this is really happening. Both frowned at their screens. A recent development concerning the Calvardian industrial giant Verne Company had become a key source of concern for them of late. It began soon after Crossbell returned to normalcy after the Supreme Leader's takeover the previous year. Professor Erica Russell approached the Verne Company to propose that they join the West Sumerian Tech Union that she had been hard at work forming, and to no one's surprise, they refused. But before Erica and the rest of the engineers involved could finish getting ready to go and change Verne's mind, something happened to make the Union at least the least of anyone's priorities. The independent development of a new generation of orbments and their generations-long partner in this subset of technology, the Epstein Foundation, would not be a collaborator. The latter had been key supporters of Zamoria's orbment development and orbital technology in general since their very inception. Battle orbments were no exception to this. The Foundation had known their way around them since the very first model, drafting the incredible concept that had been used as the base ever since. Even the Reinford Company, before the Battle of Jormungand, had not thought to develop their Arcus models on their own, instead favoring to develop them in partnership with the Storied Institute. The announcement was, quite simply, unprecedented, and it sent shockwaves throughout the industry. The Epstein Foundation was less than pleased with being cast aside in this manner. Come on. And the Epstein Foundation has basically been the linchpin of bringing so many of these groups together, right? In the name of improving tech. Ugh. 1 second. Yeah, I suppose you got a point. Well, there were certainly legal concerns regarding who'd owned the patent to this technology for the greater The greater concern was that their stable position in the industry as a whole was now becoming unstable. They initially responded by attempting to resolve this through peaceful means, but when those attempts proved fruitless, it was reported that they were preparing for what could only be an ugly international legal dispute. I'd say Vern has the upper hand if this ever makes it to court. Unlike their previous Ramda orbments, the 6th generation is designed to set a whole new standard. All of its main features are packed with new tech, with some new features still being kept under wraps. I wonder what those are. What could they be trying to develop that's important enough to ruin their relationship with the Foundation? Though I have heard that the government telling the Vern Company to focus more on weapons. I have heard about the government telling the Vern Company to focus more on weapons development. I have too. It sounds like they're planning to significantly revamp the military's weaponry. The official story is that they're planning on slimming the military down, but if they're pairing that with the latest in weapons development, then they're still just as powerful, maybe more so. As part of the war's ceasefire agreement, Erebonia was required to downsize their military, bringing it more in line with that of Calvert's. Yet if the Republic were to expand the capabilities of its military, this recently forced equilibrium and superpowers would be quickly broken. Why do I get the feeling that this was all according to a certain recently elected president's keikaku? Something just tells me with the fact that he literally hacked into Ouroboros and said they'd leave us alone. I have a funny feeling that the new president is effectively the next Osborn, or if you catch my drift. Yeah, possibly even worse than Osborn. Or I wouldn't be surprised by that either. Because Osborn, well, let me just put it to you this way. Even when all I really had of the franchise was Cold Steel's 1 and 2. Well, 1, 2, and 3. Hell, even when the only knowledge of him that I had was Cold Steel 1, I knew Osborn was a dictator. I knew the Imperial Liberation Front were right. Well, I would rather not be spoiled on those if I can help it, because the fresher I can go into the Kuro arc, the better. And I have been doing a very good job of not spoiling myself on Kuro, so I do really want that trend to continue. Oh yeah, that is absolutely the worst. That happened to me with Cold Steel 4 constantly. Right? Olivier's survival. Biggest example of that. I was so annoyed when I found that out. Worst part about it was the way it was spoiled for me. Was a YouTube. It was either Oliver's return. It was either a YouTube video entitled Oliver's Return, or it was Oliver proposing to Shara. In fact, I think the recommended video of Oliver proposing to Shara was actually the one that came first, spoiling it for me. So, yeah. Whatever may be true, I've got a lot of questions I need answers to. Maybe it would be worth visiting the Verne Company's headquarters in Basel at some point. You haven't learned anything more about where Professor Hamilton is at the moment, right? Nothing new or concrete. At least it sounds like she's continuing her research eastward, but I haven't heard anything more specific than that. Mom and Grandpa haven't had any luck in contacting her either. I'm not surprised, since that area isn't very well connected, but it's still unfortunate. She's a lot more personable than Professor Schmidt, so having her on our side would help a lot. Yeah, Schmidt's just a fucking prick. Yuck. Hamilton sounds a lot more personable, and no, her gender does not matter in that. I mean, for God's sakes, Albert Russell there is more personable than Schmidt. Hell, even Makarov with his more aloof attitude is more personable than Schmidt. Erica. I just shrug and move on. Anyways, Tita could only laugh. Yeah, there's a lot of worrying stories going around about PMCs and stuff like that. Oh god, PMCs. Although I suppose that would just be Jaeger Corps, but that's beside the point. It makes me wonder if none of this would even be happening if she was still acting as an advisor for the Verne Company. The deeper into the conversation they went, the more Tita could feel her spirits sinking. The political climate in Western Zemuria was unusually stable at the moment, with its nations basking in prosperity. But she could not shake the feeling that this peace was built over rotting wood, and that it would all come crashing down with but the slightest provocation. Yeah, that's kind of what happens when somebody tries to, tries to have tries to do a major shakeup like Osborn did. Keep in mind, Osborn wanted to burn everything to the ground. So this was becoming especially true in the tech world, as it had undergone rapid growth in recent years compared to other fields. So rapid, in fact, that no base could possibly sustain its sudden weight without cracks beginning to form. Try not to dwell too much on the worst case scenario, Tita. This piece might rest on a knife's edge, but there's still plenty we can do to preserve it. That's why I'm here right now, and that's also why you're working so hard too. We could find a million problems in the world if we wanted, but pessimism isn't going to make them go away, right? Very true. Very true. The words filled Tita with the right amount of comfort she needed in that precise moment. Yeah, I guess you're right. Thanks, Ren. They continued on, losing track of time as they talked well into the night. Before they knew it, the clock had struck 12. Well, it's getting really late, so I should probably be going. I'll talk to you soon, okay? Alright. Good night, Tita. Night. Oh! Tita suddenly remembered something. The exclamation stopped Ren just as she was about to end the call. Estelle and Joshua told me to ask if you're doing okay in school. Those two always worry too much. You'd think I wasn't talking to them too. She couldn't help but remember her interaction with Roland after class, but Ren quickly drove the thought from her mind. It wasn't worth dredging up. Tell them they can rest easy. Everything is fine. Good. They wanted me to let them know if you were being bullied so they could fly over and help. They don't need to do that. Ren's got this. We, you know, it's funny I mentioned the whole Roland being somebody that Estelle would whack with her stick. Because if Ren piped up about Roland now, that's exactly what would happen. She'd fly over and whack Roland with her staff. Whack! Ren could only sigh. Honestly, do they think I can't keep myself safe from a new few schoolyard bullies? Actually, they said they were more worried about what you'd do to them than what they'd do to you. I mean, fair. At her friend's silence, Tita couldn't help but burst out laughing. I worry about you too, obviously, but they're probably right. How awful of you. Even if that were to happen to me, I wouldn't do half of what you're imagining. Not anymore, anyway. See, it's saying that kind of thing that makes people worry. I'm a lady now. I need the magnanimity to forgive the transgressions of others. I'm also trying to do what I can to avoid standing out too much at school. You can try, but I think that's always been a lost cause. Anyway, now I'm really going to go before I remember anything else. Say hi to Zin for me if you run into him. I'm planning to go see him when everything calms down here, so will do. I've been meaning to go and see someone else I've been indebted to in the past too. By the time the two of them had finished talking and ended the call, one day had given away to the next. I mean, yeah, that's kind of what's the clock striking 12 means. The morning dawned yet another day of school. However, just as she left her classroom in the main building at the start of lunch, and she went to descend the staircase, she felt someone suddenly draw near from behind her. Reflexively, she dodged out of the way. A female student then entered her field of vision. She had lost her balance, her expression a mix of fear and surprise. She passed through the spot Ren had been moments ago, but her momentum showed no signs of fading. If someone didn't stop her, she was going to start tumbling down the stairs. Ren was quick to grab her and pull her close. She supported the girl's weight with one arm with all of the grace of someone taking part in a ballroom dance, saving her from falling. Several students happened to witness the event unfold and could not help but elicit gasps of admiration. Noticing that the girl's eyes were still unfocused, Ren gently addressed her. Are you alright? You aren't hurt, are you? Finally realizing the situation she was in, the girl, whose face had become quite red, quickly straightened her posture in a fluster. Yes, I'm okay. You're Ren Bright from the next class over, aren't you? Thank you so much for helping me. You're very welcome. But I would have to caution you from losing your composure like that right next to a staircase. Do you have some really urgent business to take care of? The girl first frowned in response, then paused to think, then answered. Nothing I can think of. It's weird, but even though it was probably my imagination, it felt like someone had pushed me from behind. Obviously, no one here would do that, so I must have just bumped into someone by accident. She thanked her rescuer again before disappearing into the distance. The situation she had deemed her imagination, however, lingered in Ren's mind. If I hadn't sensed something was amiss, both of us would have fallen down the stairs. We could have been badly hurt. Was it really just a coincidence, or was it a deliberate action by someone who wants to hurt me? If it was the latter, she didn't have anything to support this theory, but with it came a familiar sensation. The feeling of malicious stares focusing on her from the shadows. It took surprisingly little time for her suspicions to gain evidence. After finishing gym class the next day, Ren made for the classroom and began preparing for her next lesson. As she did, she immediately noticed something was amiss. All of her textbooks had been glued shut, with an excessive amount of adhesive. Try as she did to open them, it was a lost cause as to get it to even a single page. It was an obvious attempt to harass her. The culprits behind the act were equally obvious. Not far from where Ren was sitting, Roland Griffin and his lackeys, whom she so memorably turned away 2 days prior, were snickering to themselves, their eyes mockingly focused on Ren all the while. They're not even interested in hiding what they're like anymore. I'm sure at this point they want me to know who did it to intimidate me. The latest development also confirmed in her mind that they were responsible for trying to push her down the stairs the day before. What a pitiful sight they were. Because she refused to join their group, her existence was, in their eyes, now nothing more than a hindrance to Roland's campaign for student council president. They would stop at nothing to either break her spirit and force her to join, or shame her into lowering her popularity among the student body. It didn't matter that Ren had no interest in taking part in the election. After further inspecting the state of her textbooks, Ren's expression grew difficult to read. I think I can make them usable again, but not in what little time I have left before class. The bell soon chimed to signal the start of her lesson. Ren left her textbooks out on top of her desk, making no effort to open them throughout. Her instructor was, of course, less than pleased about this perceived slight against them, picking her to answer a question as an attempt to chide her poor behavior. Miss Bright, please read the next paragraph aloud to us. Roland and his friends let out a series of pleased giggles at this, their minds delighting at the thought of a flustered Ren being told off and humiliated in front of the entire class. But what transpired in reality played out very differently from their fantasies. Without missing a beat, Ren did exactly as she was told, reciting the selected paragraph if she had been asked to read word for word, and all while her textbook remained closed. Did you memorize the entire book? Even the instructor could not hide their surprise. But of course, as a student of Aramis Academy, I would never dare to compromise in preparing for my lessons. Ren responded with such grace that she, of course, drew in more sighs and coos of admiration from both her instructor and peers alike. It was only Roland and his posse who groaned with sullen expressions. The next incident came on Ren's way to school the next morning. She entered the school gates with the horde of other students and was just about to step into the building when she noticed a foul smell coming from above her. She looked upward and noticing a portion of the fencing surrounding the building's rooftop was falling directly above her. Other students noticed at the same time, letting out screams of horror and worries they could do nothing about. I could get out of the way easily if I wanted, but the fencing was over 2 arg in length, She could escape unharmed, but other students around her would likely not. It was a risk she was unwilling to take. Grasping the battle ornament hidden in her bag, she cried out, "Airstrike!" A sphere of wind formed in response to her incantation, flying upward at high speeds. She carefully controlled its powers, so that instead of sending the fence flying, it simply canceled out its momentum instead, allowing her to hop up and catch it with ease. This was no accident. The smell makes it obvious. Yes, it was the distinct scent of a liquid extracted from a certain plant monster. One of its properties was to imitate the natural corrosion of metal, resulting in its application to certain solvents. This made the fence falling a deliberate action the perpetrator had been trying to disguise as an accident, and with Ren having been the target of several malicious acts already, the culprit was clear. Again, she could feel the presence of those familiar hateful stares pouring into her from the shadows. But again as well, they were not the only ones with eyes on her. Whoa, that was awesome! Did you see that? Is there anything she can't do? Ren's quiet meditation was disrupted by a multitude of cheers and applause from all around her. As if she were a performer just about to leave the stage, she gave an elegant bow in response. Might as well just placate the crowd. This would not be the last time she endured harassment from Roland's group, but each and every time they bested her, she would handle herself with exemplary skill, their efforts only serving to make her more popular. The state of affairs continued for several more days before a seemingly out-of-patience Roland summoned Ren behind the school building after lessons were over for the day. He stood oppressively before her, his lackeys behind him, and with the composure he attempted to feign before her now replaced by a plain, vile anger. Moment. Oops, sorry. Almost forgot to unmute. Give me a sec. Let me set you straight, Renbright. You are an eyesore. Even that gentlemanly air he impersonated before was gone. Really? Well, that's not a very polite thing to say to a classmate. Don't try to act cute and innocent. I've put too much damn time and Mira into building my position up at this academy. But who's always at the center of attention instead? It's you. It's always you. It's like you're deliberately trying to sabotage my chances of success, and that's the last thing I can afford right now. Says the guy who basically committed attempted murder. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I'm sorry. Is his political power really that fucking great? People finding out he's he's willing to attempt to murder his classmates would not curb stomp his dad's political power out of existence? You know, I was going to list an example, but then I was like, you know what, I better not. Anyways. The more livid Roland became, the more unruffled Ren was in turn. You're only sabotaging yourself by setting me up to succeed over and over again. You are aware of that, aren't you? Had she not been forced to defend herself against him over and over again, she would not have received nearly as much attention. This being pointed out caused Roland to return an audible tut of frustration. I mean, she's right. I mean, for fuck's sakes. For fuck's sakes. Hey, Eeks, if you didn't keep pushing her, like, she literally would have just remained at the bare minimum of popularity had you not fucking continued to force her to step up her game. God, you suck at this, Roland. You're another one of these self-sabotaging morons. Because again, if Roland had done nothing, Ren would not have had to have stepped up in response, which means his position wouldn't be threatened like it is now because he fucking pushed her. God, you are such a goddamn idiot, Roland. Who cares about how it happens? The point is, this has gone on long enough, so I'm going to have to ask you to step off the stage for a while. What do you mean? Roland seemed to present some of his initial cool from when they first talked as he answered. Oh, I mean something very simple. You just won't come to school until the election is over. And if I refuse? To this, he raised a hand, and in response, his lackeys stepped forward to surround her. The boys were unusually well built for their age, showing off their hulking forms in hopes of intimidating her. So, you saw her use a battle ornament, right, Roland? Like, you saw her cast an art, right? You saw that, right? This guy is so fucking stupid. Oh my god. Refusing is not an option, I'm afraid. If you aren't going to oblige me willingly, we will just have to make it so that you can't come to school for a while. His lackeys cracked their knuckles dramatically to clarify their leader's intent. Well, that's no good. I think we both know that would constitute a grave violation of the school rules. Something about her inflection caused him to mistake her commentary as showing a hint of fear, further fueling their desire to dominate the situation. No one's watching a place like this, and even if someone did happen to see, my father is a politician. He can make it go away. If they don't willingly choose to ignore what they saw in deference to my position, that is, everyone at this academy seems to already know their place, you see. Everyone except you. His smile was so unpleasant that a sigh escaped Ren. Oh, I think you're the one who doesn't know your place. I don't want to be rough with him after what Tita said, but he needs to be taught a good, hard lesson. Roland continued on, oblivious to what was running through his apparent victim's mind. And now do as I say. His lackeys drew closer, readying to seize her. I'll keep it mild, but I still want this to hurt for them, just enough to set them on the right track. I don't think Estelle and Joshua would object to that. But just as she was about to act... Stop this at once! A girl's shout could be heard from the direction of the school building. She was, of course, not shouting at Ren. And who are you? Roland was visibly irritated. Though the girl appeared to be visibly nervous, she continued to stand her ground. I didn't mean to listen in, but I couldn't help but overhear what was happening here. You can't go through with this. What you're doing is wrong. The girl stepped forward till she was is directly in front of Ren to protect her from her schoolyard bullies. As she did so, the light revealed sleek, dazzling blonde hair that shimmered much like the sunshine above. Ren recognized her to be the first-year student who lived in the dormitory next to her own. They weren't close to one another. At most, they only exchanged polite greetings with one another as they passed each other in the hall. Well, she always seemed like a quiet, polite young woman with a good upbringing. However, not the type whose eyes would glow with resolve as she put her well-being on the line for someone else's. Ren was surprised by this, as was Roland, though he was less than impressed. He never fathomed that another student would dare to resist him. One thing he did sense was that her resistance was little more than a brave front. With excitement at the thought of stripping that front bare, he grew a sadistic smile and addressed her. "Is it now? Well, how fortunate for me that I have you to show me the error of my ways. Ren can wait. You're first year, I assume? I'm going to need to give you a lesson on just how right and wrong works in our society." Upon his signal, his lackeys shifted to surround their new target over Ren. She began to tremble as danger closed in on her, but still she did not move. "Don't you dare!" This time it was Ren who spoke up. "I'll give you what you want, so don't you dare touch her." "But, you sure about that?" She wasn't planning on that response, but Roland was more than happy to have his win in any form. "I'll stay away from the school for a while. That's what you want, right? But then The experience of studying abroad has been rather tiring for me, so maybe I do need some rest." Ren's voice was gentle, in an attempt to assuage the kind girl's concerns. Roland, meanwhile, made no attempt to hide the joy he felt at victory, laughing heartily with all the glee of a spoiled child. "Good! Now everyone knows their place here. I see no reason to harm either of you. Now that I've got what I want, consider yourselves lucky now that I've decided to let you go." Roland turned away and made to leave his lackeys following suit. "Good day to you then. When we next meet, this school will be all mine." And then he was gone, with only the girls left behind the school building. The younger of the two looked up at her senior, concern welling in her expression. "I really am all right. You're very kind to worry." Ren's smile was one of genuine kindness. From then on, Ren did indeed stop coming to school, citing illness as the official reason behind her absence. The students then gathered in the Academy's auditorium several days later for the long-awaited Student Council election. Aramis Academy as a whole placed great importance on the autonomy of its students, and as such, the Student Council exercised an unusual amount of power. It also weighed upon them a massive amount of responsibility, such as being a sole planner for the Academy's festival, a symbol and celebration of spring in the capital. This, however, also led to the position being a major status symbol even long after graduation. All of this was why a large number of students put their names forward to become Student Council President every year. Yet this year, a great majority of the most promising candidates dropped out under mysterious circumstances, leaving only Roland and others associated with him on the ballot. I couldn't exactly boast about winning by default. Roland and his supporters sat in the rest area, chuckling among themselves at the whole affair. Perhaps his name wasn't the only one on the ballot, but none of the others had done any certifiable campaigning, meaning his election was positively assured. Eventually, the time came for him to give his speech. It was a compelling one. He played the part of a responsible young gentleman as he delivered it, speaking with that same silver tongue he inherited well from his father. There were some moments where he failed to hide his arrogance, but as no one had prepared a speech to give, if this was not the blow to his campaign, it otherwise would have been. Now, if you could turn your eyes to the screen he spoke of was at the back of the auditorium. This was a rather notable feature to have in a school building, to have anywhere, and was installed several years prior to use in lectures and to display recreational films. Other nations had yet to indulge in such luxuries, showing just how far ahead Calvert was in this technology. Up until then, students had used it to display photographs during their speeches, but Roland intended to take it another step further. He wanted to share a promotional video, and not a simple makeshift self-produced one, and that might ordinarily be presented by an amateur, but rather a professional work he paid a considerable amount of mirror for. Its quality was genuinely impressive. His victory was written in stone, but this, he knew, would cement it that much more. Convinced this would serve as the perfect beginning to his ascension to the top of the social hierarchy, he started the video. The musical number it played was rousing, hitting. What followed was Roland appearing on the screen. So how much mirror do you want for supporting me? I can make it worth your while. What? The video playing before them was not the one intended. Rather than an inspiration show of what he could bring to the student body, it was a recording of him buying off one of his opponents just days before. As hushed whispers of confusion spread through the auditorium, the next clip played. If you know what's good for you, you'll withdraw your candidacy right now, or the only thing you'll be president of is a hospital bed. Next was an equally unexpected scene of Roland intimidating another candidate into withdrawing from the race. As it continued, Roland realized what was going on. Someone out there had replaced his carefully prepared video with another. The initially hesitant whispers exploded into loud enough murmurs that he had to raise his voice over them in his attempt to quell the situation. This is all a forgery! Someone is attempting to frame me! But just at that moment, as if waiting for his cries of denial, a girl's voice resounded from the auditorium's entrance. I'm afraid it is all entirely genuine. Her voice rang out with wonderful clarity, charming all who heard it. She ran her hand through her violet hair and flipped it back as she talked and walked slowly toward the stage. Bribing potential threats, blackmailing, threatening, even executing violence against others, and many other cases of bullying besides. You are guilty on every single account, Roland Griffith. Before anyone could fully understand what was happening, this student was on the stage and staring Roland down. All eyes were fixed upon this elegant figure. Indeed, without any effort at all, she had the air of a protagonist from some epic tale making her long-awaited appearance. She kind of has been she kind of is the protag of a Trails plot line, so, yeah. She just hasn't headlined an entire game, that's all. Except she's literally been part of the active party, active main party of a couple of games already. So, there's that. Damn it, Ren Bright, must you insist on getting in my way at every turn? He growled through a sheet of sheer anger. In contrast, the recently absent Ren responded with brilliant composure. You are the one getting in the way of the fair running of this important election. Your countless crimes have made a mockery of the whole process. Ren then turned from Roland to the rest of the student body as she continued to list his crimes alongside the still running video. Some elicited frowns, others sympathy, others complete silence, but by the time she was finished, all were united in a single, overpowering emotion: anger. It brings me no joy to say this about a fellow student, but I'm afraid it must be said. Roland Griffith, you do not deserve or even attend this prestigious academy, much less be the president of its student council. Similar censure from other students followed in rapid succession. Yeah, she's right. Stop ruining our academy. You've gone too far. Ren's accusation wasn't the only reason for their anger. The students of Aramis had long loathed Roland's oppressive behavior. They only hadn't spoken out before because they were afraid of his father's power. Now that they realized he could be stopped, their anger had reached an explosive boiling point. Roland suddenly found himself at the center of a torrent of abuse. He looked to his lackeys for support, but even they refused to meet his gaze. I mean, yeah. Again, like I said, his father would probably look at this and go, oh, fuck no. You're basically pulling fucking mafia tactics? Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, there was a mafia over in Crossbell. Do you not remember what happened to them? Oh, okay, that's probably a bad example because that mafia got fucked over by drugs, but that's beside the point. Good point. That is a good point. Wait. And depending on whether or not Roland's father is in Hayway's books, well, yeah, right. Although this kind of blatant tactics of like rigging elections and shit, Hayway is not that fucking out in the open. They are a lot more fucking subtle about their actions. It's the whole reason why they have a trading company front, for God's sakes, you know? It then dawned on him how fragile all he thought he built was. Rage gave way to an instant deep despair and casting a glare of pure hatred towards Ren. Roland hurriedly sprinted out of the auditorium. Only when he was completely out of sight did the air erupt with cheers of joy. In the end, addressing the aftermath of the election took long enough that by the time she left for the gates, it was already evening. Yet even with how late it was, instead of walking her usual route home, she stepped off the path to enter an entirely unoccupied park. How does this work? No one is going to interrupt us here. So how about you how does this work? No one is going to interrupt us here, so how about you come on out? In response to her words, Roland emerged before her for the first time since he ran away earlier in the day, and with 10 or so companions in tow. These men weren't his usual lackeys, but instead vicious figures with dark expressions and gaudy clothing. They were clearly not students of the academy. More than likely, they belonged to some local gang. You don't keep very good company outside of school now, do you? With how they're dressed up, I assume you must be off to a party or something? Yeah. Which probably means that Ren is probably just going to be like, Alright, you want to escalate this, huh? Alright. You can play at that game, bitch. I am going to wipe that smug smirk right off of that face for good, Ren Bright. My dazzling future in politics was guaranteed, but now you've gone and ruined everything. What am I supposed to say to my father now? Yeah, exactly what this next sentence is. That's your problem, not mine. Or are you so small a man that you can't own up to the consequences of your own mistakes? Not a second passed between his outburst and the manner in which she snapped back, causing his temper to grow twice as vile. That's it! I don't care what it takes. You are going to pay for your thinking you could cross me and get away with it. Have at her. There won't be any consequences for going too far. My father will see to that. The men sprung into motion upon Roland's signal, but what followed made them doubt their eyes. Yep. Yeah, no. The second you fucking fuck with Ren, you're done. Like, fucking seriously, dude. Dude, the only reason you aren't gonna fucking die from this encounter, Roland, is because Ren would be inviting so much more trouble chopping your goddamn head off. Though, if I may be so bold, you fucking deserve it for basically being in Hayaway, but without any of the fucking nuance or elegance. Let me put it to you this way. Sao going up to Ren could actually have a chance of intimidating her. Because he has that presence, right? That disarming kind of gentlemanly approach. He speaks with sophistication, but he is goddamn terrifying. I mean, Roland is so blatantly obvious with his fucking stupidity that he's basically just waving his dick around. The easier approach would be to actually really try to be polite, charming, and properly polite, properly charming. Like, seriously, even a more sincere and less as you want to sleep with me because I'm awesome, and more, or hey, maybe we should grab some drinks, get to know each other better, that kind of thing. That would have gotten Ren, that honestly would have worked much better to his advantage. But no, she just said, no, sorry, I don't want to go out with you, and then he resorted to fucking bullying and intimidation tactics. Roland could not understand what had just unfolded before him. His eyes relayed the information well enough, but his mind rejected it completely. The second after he ordered his new lackeys to attack, Ren had produced a monstrously sized black and gold scythe from thin air. This in and of itself was beyond comprehension, but it wasn't the last thing to be so. The scene was like a cat toying with a powerless cornered mouse, except in this shocking case, Ren was the cat and his men were the mice. They surrounded her at first, and yet all it took was a single swing of her conjured weapon to cause most of them to collapse to the ground. In less than 10 seconds, their confidence had crumbled with their bodies. The mice made to scurry as fast as they could, but the cat gleefully gave chase. There were even moments where he let a few of them think they had gotten away, only for her to immediately close the gap between them. It was only after she was bored that she would knock them unconscious like the rest, and then she would seek delight in her next hunt. Like heavy sacks of potatoes, the men fell one by one, until only Ren and Roland were left. This can't be happening. The young man was still struggling to come to terms with what he had just witnessed as Ren stretched her limbs like a bored child, still gearing up to play. Amateurs, every last one of them. I thought I could have at least a little fun. Oh, but don't you worry, I didn't actually slaughter them. She turned her gaze from the spectacle of her own creation to Roland. God damn, that's right there. That is how you do fucking intimidating. All she is doing is just standing there holding her scythe and looking at Roland. Probably with kind of with a smile, but that's fucking terrifying because she's already proven that. Oh yeah, by the way, hey, you are trash. Ish. Yeah, she's probably got, like, one of those, like, intimidating, like, fucking, one of those anime smiles where you're just looking at her and, like, and it would, like, show her face and then show the other guy, like, shitting his fucking pants in terror. You know? Like, seriously, dude. You should have tried to court her instead of being a fucking asshole. Or at the very least, try to be her friend. And you could have even have tried bribing her, for fuck's sakes. But nope, you went immediately to intimidation tactics and bullying. Congratulations, you're a fucking asshole. Asshole who honestly, I wouldn't shed a fucking tear if Ren sliced your goddamn head off. But that's not what's going to happen here because, well, one, Ren doesn't kill without cause. She didn't kill his fucking goon squad. And two, like I said, that would cause way too many goddamn problems, being the son of a politician and all that. So, yeah. And considering her adoptive dad is kind of the head of the liberal military, yeah, that would cause a lot more problems than it would solve. It'd be great for Aramis, terrible for Ren and the rest of the Brights. So, yeah. Would you be open to giving me a little more entertainment, perhaps, Roland? Roland twitched in fear at the mention of his name. In this moment, she was now nothing more than a beast in human skin. Stay away from me! My father's in Parliament, you know. Try anything on me and you'll regret it. Her response was an expression of pure pity, before tossing what appeared to be a magazine at his feet. It's one of today's tabloids. You might find its contents relevant. What? Oh shit, is she about to reveal that he doesn't have as much political power as he thinks? Oh shit. Okay. If I'm right about this, then, consider all I said about the whole would be bad for Cassius and the others null and void, because, yeah, oh boy. What? At first, he was baffled by this shift, but the second he peeked at the cover, his face went pale. Representative Griffith suspected of bribery and connections to organized crime. Oh shit. Okay, I was kind of half joking about Roland's dad being with Hayaway, but damn. Yeah, you still don't want him to be publicly known as working with Hayaway. Hey, and Calvert. Oh my god! Okay, it's only her fucking mercy that you don't die now, Roland. Congratulations. I would start fucking sucking up like right fucking now. Oh, you are now Ren's bitch, you little fuck. Granted, if I was in Roland's shoes, I'd be trying to literally give Ren a taste of fucking power as a partnership thing. But that's beside the point. Wait. I'm not scared of women with power. Representative Griffith, suspected of bribery in connections to organized crime, read the headline in giant punchy lettering. There's a whole special feature on your dearest daddy, complete with evidence. It mentions that the CID is going to be conducting an investigation as well, so this may be the last day you can say he's in Parliament. My condolences. No! No! So visceral was the shock at the news that the simple word was all he could muster. Even then, Ren wasn't finished. God, that is terrifying! Holy shit. I love this. Roland is trying to be this intimidating figure, and Ren is the one that comes off as actually terrifying. So now that he's been removed from the equation, I'll ask again. Would you be open to giving me a little more entertainment? She edged closer and closer, scythe in hand and a sadistic smile lacing her lips. Roland tried to retreat in fear before tripping over a rock and falling hopelessly on his backside. All he could do was watch her as though she were the Grim Reaper, tears and snot streaming down his face. Be a doll and play with me, and then you'll understand why they used to call me the Angel of Slaughter. She raised her scythe above her head and readied to swing it downward before realizing what she said. Oops. A grown woman shouldn't play with dolls, though, would she? And here I thought I could better control my childish glee. She covered her mouth with her free hand, blushing with feminine modesty at her slip-up. None of this was behavior befitting the proper lady she wanted to reflect. After composing herself, she turned her attention back to her prey, only to see he was already unconscious. Finished? As she left the park, a calm man called out to her. I certainly am. Ren met eyes with a brown-skinned young man, leaning covertly against one of the trees. It was safe to assume he had witnessed the entire affair unfold. He glanced inside the park for a brief moment before speaking with slight but genuine admiration. You really are something. In what way? In every way. Even I was more struck by the hacking abilities of the famous Kitty than the combat prowess of the infamous Angel of Slaughter. Still hard to believe you managed to find dirt on his big-wig dad that easily. Ren's response was matter of fact, showing no sign his praise had gone to her head. Most people just aren't as cautious about cybersecurity as they ought to be. Understandable, with how new most are to it. Of course, it isn't nearly as easy as when you're dealing with leading corporations and politicians at the top of the food chain. You made it sound like you tried before. Maybe I have. Ren's smile was both cryptic and darling. I've been more impressed with you. You were quick to write a piece that scathing while also finding me exactly the proof I needed. I'm glad Grace introduced us. He's a reporter. Huh. Interesting. Just doing my job. The man's name was Dingo, and he was a professional reporter for a tabloid. Yeah, actually, that's true. Every Trails area has had a reporter. You had Niall in Liberl. You had Dorothy in Niall and Dorothy. Sorry, in Liberl. Grace in Crossbell, and I forget his name from the Class 7 arc, and then in the final battle arc, you of course had Vivi, and I suppose to an extension Rex, but it was mostly Vivi that had become the reporter character. And now we have Dingo here. Cool name. He was extremely capable at his job, very well connected, and held a reputation for never shying away from danger. After being introduced to one another by Grace Lynn, he and Ren had made a deal with one another just a few days prior. The terms were simple. Dingo would provide Ren with proof of Roland's misdemeanors, and Ren would use her hacking abilities to provide evidence of his father's crimes. Both were now reaping the rewards of the other's success, though I'll admit that I did get some help from a friend, and he was none too pleased about being asked to look into a scummy politician's equally scummy son, but he pulled through. Oh, you just have all kinds of connections, don't you? She did sense someone other than Dingo was acting on her behalf while she was off of school, but she wasn't sure who that someone was. This curious sensation regarding their identity remained as she continued the conversation. You know, I'm surprised you didn't meet with any resistance in running that story. That just goes to show how big of a fan the government was of Griffith. They left him alone because he didn't actively oppose the current president's party, but from the CID's perspective, this chance to take him down was about as good as it was going to get. That does sound like something Miss Taito Master over there would do. I can't say I like the feeling of being used by her, but oh well. Killiga. I don't even have to question that. That's Killiga she's talking about. I mean, Miss Taito Master kind of gives that away perfectly. Dingo then made a curious observation. I have to wonder why you went to such lengths to get rid of a small fry like him. He really bother you that much? Ren glanced briefly at Roland, still collapsed on the ground of the park, before shrugging her shoulders dismissively. Not in the least. I didn't intend for this to go as far as it did, either. I only wanted to teach him enough of a lesson so he'd leave me alone, but it was then that the younger student who tried to save her came to mind. I think the students deserve a much better student council president than him. She then let out a titter that was most refined. As Ren expected, the allegations led Roland's father to resign from Parliament, while he resigned from Aramis Academy. Good fucking riddance. As I said, he was at her mercy at that point. So, be thankful she's not how she was. Like, no, seriously, like 4 years prior, Roland would just be dead. Because she would still be with Ouroboros, and she would just chop his head off and be done with it. Be thankful that Ren has gone through an entire character arc, Roland. Because without that character arc, you'd be fucked. The group of students who exerted power over the student body with his backing vanished overnight as a result, bidding peace to return to the grounds for the first time in too long. One thing, however, came about from this that Ren had not expected in the least. Here are all the documents relating to next month's budget. The student council's new president accepted the documents with the blonde-haired first year in charge of general affairs, pursuing them straight away. After Roland dashed from the auditorium on the day of the election, most of those in his group who put down their name dropped out in a timely fashion. Voting still took place even then, but once all was said and done, nearly 70% of the votes cast were disqualified. This was because they were all in favor of someone who never had put her name on the ballot. Ren Bright. Aramis Academy was known for how little its staff interfered with many liberties it gave its students, but this time the staff was clearly concerned about dissatisfaction and with Roland was going to present dire problems in the future. The teachers then chose to directly negotiate with Ren, and in the face of such fervent demand, she reluctantly accepted the position of student council president. Oh, that is cool. So, so Ren is the Toa of the Calvert arc. Oh, fuck yeah! That's awesome! That is actually awesome! I actually like that. I approve. None of her duties posed a challenge to her, but by accepting it, she had completely and utterly failed her initial goal of avoiding attention. I wonder if this is how the Thor's branch campus for student council president felt when he was elected. Even I couldn't believe when Tita told me. Alright, it is what it is, I suppose. I'll just have to make use of this as best as I can. Oh, I love that! It's even calling out Thor's open house. Oh, 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 this is awesome. Sunlight beamed into the student council room. The blonde-haired girl and two of her friends struggled with the new workload they were adjusting to. As Ren sat there, ears open to random talk and the occasional grumble, a thought crossed her mind. She had no end of real-world worries. The problems arising from rapid technological development, the society's next move, the ominous winds of change blustering over Calvert. But despite all those, she wanted to enjoy her simple time here while she could. What say we get this work done so we can celebrate with a tea party, The arrival of spring was now a distant memory, even if summer had yet to come. There was nothing particularly spectacular about this time. It was just another ordinary, beautiful, bright afternoon. Beautifully bright afternoon. An unconventional student. The end. I don't think I need to. I don't think I need to say how many positives that's getting. So, with that, Reverie has broken the 200 barrier on story positives. Huh. I'll be honest, I didn't think it was going to, but here we are. Hot damn. But yeah. Alright, so that's it for that. Now. There it is. Forward, sword in hand. Okay. With any luck, this will be the no really last one, and then we can just end this. So we're going back a bit. September, year 1207 of the Septium calendar. I cannot accept. I was not one to mince words. The hulking bear of a veteran bracer, Zin Vivek. Oh man, I really don't know how to pronounce his last name. Could not hide his disappointment, puffing out his bottom lip with a sigh as he stood before me. Not again. And you gotta resign yourself to the inevitable one of these days. I had been indebted to this man who was as capable as he was kind, since my first days in the guild. Truly, I didn't wish to be a source of vexation for him, but the wish alone was not enough. I have neither the experience nor skill to be worthy of A rank, so I cannot accept your recommendation. Bracers are assigned ranks based on their strength and achievements, with A rank being the highest, on paper at least. Its members are the very face of its beloved organization, and as such, ranks are a metaphorical badge of honor to be worn with pride. So how had I received multiple recommendations for the most prestigious rank in 6 months? I spared no effort in working to hone my craft in the years I had joined after school, and certainly I wouldn't classify myself as a doe-eyed newcomer, but to have my name among the greats of the guild? Absolutely not. But after turning down my first recommendation, a second one had come from the guild's headquarters in Le Mans. If you ask me, you got both in spades. There's something else making you lead toward a no? Zin's awkward smile told me he had been pressured by headquarters to persuade me. I folded my arms. Setting aside whether you're overestimating me or not, which I believe you are, there is. I would very much like to not stand out any more than I already do. I've already been getting offers to be a model, to star in films. It's been, frankly, exhausting, forcing them to give up. Now what do you think would happen if I were to accept a promotion? I'll be neck deep in the same mess all over again. Okay, that makes sense, but sorry, you're a 1-2 punch in the beauty and bronze department. Trying to lay low's a lost cause. With the kind of fans you're getting, maybe you should consider the silver screen after all. Who knows? You might walk away with an award from the film festival. Zin's laugh was hearty in contrast to his unamused frown. Much as I respected him, he could do with showing a little more decorum. That's not funny. I understand being in the public eye to some extent, and is inevitable, but I've accepted it. But I'm a bracer, not an entertainer. I wasn't trying to be funny though. You ought to find a way to let off some steam, or you're going to break when we need you put together the most. Happens to the workaholics like you more often than you would think. I don't think I was pushing myself as much as he implied, but I also couldn't deny that there was a nugget of truth to what he said. You're getting off topic. Just why is headquarters so desperate for me to become an A-ranked bracer? I can't see the logic behind it. Well, you see, starting with what you know, the reparations from Erebonia have beefed up the economy this year, so all kinds of new investments are pouring in from across the continent. Now, I'm no economist, Anonymous, but people go where the money's at, and where people go, conflict follows. That's just how it is. I saw where he was going from there, electing to expand upon the rest myself. So now we have disputes between megacorporations and a stark increase in Jaeger activity. These are in addition to the known growth of private military companies. These and increased tensions between mafias. You got it. You think it's bad now? It's only going to get worse from here. That's why Lamont wants to up security here while promoting our rising star, you. They see it as good PR for the guild and a deterrent to any potential threats that are thinking about stepping out of line. Perhaps I was more vaguely aware of their goal in using me than I wanted to admit. This didn't make hearing the answer any more satisfying. If they have you asking me to play my part, then surely they have asked you to play your part already. You've been recommended for S rank, haven't you? If you know of a better deterrent than having an S rank in Calvard, then I'd like to hear it. Zin scritched the back of his head awkwardly upon my statement. I just don't think I'm up there with someone like Cassius Bright. S isn't even an official rank, and even if it was, just look at me. You think a guy like me's a picture-perfect advertisement for the guild? I think you have the skills, achievements, and build to be one, yes. A curt, quick response. Alright, point made. I can't force you to take the recommendation, but I'm not about to be a hypocrite. Just, let me know if you change your mind, okay? With that, the conversation came to an end, and the guild's bracers gathered to begin our routine meeting of delegating open requests. This is how I preferred things. It was better to stay like this. There was a point when I wanted to be something more. I can no longer remember when that was. Sometime during my childhood it happened, I'm sure. I just recall realizing how small the world truly was. So I prayed and longed to become someone I was not. It was around high school when I thought I became that someone. Those years were unforgettable. I'll never forget the exceptional reunion that was had there, nor the priceless treasure I had gained. I truly thought I'd gotten closer to who I wanted to be. But in the end, it was just wishful thinking. My hand, once held, was now empty, and I was still a nobody. But I refused to stand still. I grew unrelenting in following the new path I chose for myself, ignoring my family's obligations. My motivations had changed, however. I no longer possessed that girlhood that desired of becoming something more, of becoming someone. I just needed to keep second time in 2 days that's happened. Ugh. I just needed to keep moving, however aimless that moment was. God, it really is. We really are doing. It really wouldn't be a trail stream without some tech issue, would it? God. Well, aren't we looking gorgeous today? With a whimsical wink, a familiar bartender welcomed me to his establishment. He was a tall, affable man who lived by his own rules and never hesitated to lend a helping hand to others. He reminded me much of the Crossbell City branch's receptionist from a few times I visited for work. The place was nearly empty today. I sat down on the counter seat farthest from the door as he approached. The usual, sweetheart? I stopped by here after a hard day's work on occasion, and whenever I did, I always ordered coffee and a light snack. This was not a coffee and snacks kind of day. I want something with alcohol, even beer will do. Not at all fazed by the vagueness of my order, he walked away and started preparing my drink. It wasn't long before he returned with and placed an elegant glass in front of me. I think this is a little more you than beer. It was a beautiful cocktail composed of two colors, a clear blue like that of a priceless saffron, and a calming jade. No doubt he could tell how disquieted my heart was and was trying to soothe it in his own way. I thanked him inwardly before daring to broach my other reason for coming. "Have you learned anything more about what I asked?" Apart from being a skilled bartender, he was also a well-known informant. He was extremely well connected to the guild, the press, and even the criminal underworld, but he was also very careful never to overstep his bounds with that last one. Smart move. Indeed, I found him to be a valuable source when needed. I wish I could say yes, but not even Dingo has any promising leads. Still, I think you've got your eyes on the right district. It's only a matter of time before they get smoked out. I see. Since the guild's investigation turned up nothing, I was hoping he would better point me in the right direction, but it seemed this was going to be a lot harder than I hoped for. Things will work out. Just pace yourself and keep at it a little bit at a time. That also applies to that cocktail. It's a strong one, so don't drink it all at once. I tilted the glass delicately between my fingers as he stepped away, my mind continuing to wade through the case I was following. There had been a stark increase in illegal drugs on the market. Not just any drugs either, but ones of the highly addictive, dangerous variety. Oh God, tell me that Gnosis isn't back! HOA, who effectively ruled over the criminal underworld in Calvard, ordinarily limited their proliferation in the market as part of their rules. Limiting the number of drugs was, of course, far from the ideal elimination of them, but none could deny that the syndicate's actions had brought some semblance of order to where chaos often reigns supreme. Yet the past few years had seen a worrying number of criminal groups rebelling against these carefully curated ones. One of these groups was surely behind the change in the market, and all of this held a presumed connection to two missing people. The guilds and police had been tasked with searching for two children below the age of 10, a boy and his younger sister. They simply left the house one day and had not been seen since. Evidence suggested that they came from a perfectly ordinary family, on good terms with one another, so the likelihood of them running away was slim. We mulled over the suspicion that they had been abducted for ransom early on, but not a single demand was made following their disappearance, so it was quickly ruled out. Despite a healthy amount of manpower that was coming from both sides, neither the guild nor the police had yet to find them. That said, the search so far had not proved entirely fruitless. Their last known location was fortunately established, and it was, unfortunately, a popular site for the illicit drug trade. The working theory from there became that the siblings witnessed a transaction and were held captive by the criminal parties involved as a result. If that held true, then the longer it took our parties to find them, the greater the danger their lives were in. The abductors wouldn't do anything right away. Murder was sure to leave trace evidence behind, and it was only a matter of time before they resorted to that or trafficking abroad to be rid of them. With each passing second, the odds of the children being returned unharmed were dropping to zero. At the same time, all of this was pure speculation on our part, based on a single established location. For all we knew, this had nothing to do with the criminal underworld at all. The potential dangers thrown around made inaction an agonizing task. But if there was no evidence to go on, action was impossible. We could forcibly arrest any suspicious people on site and make them talk should we wish it, but that would be a direct violation of the Guild's code and its founding principles. The Bracer Guild always sought to be an ally of the people first and foremost, so resorting to criminal acts to obtain evidence was out of the question. If only this strict adherence to our code didn't stop us from being able to resolve so many crimes, thereby putting the people we swore to protect in danger. It was the ultimate impasse. As I found myself pondering on this impossible dilemma the Bracers had placed themselves in, a familiar face came to mind. He was a childhood friend with blue-tinged, unkempt hair. Though we had lost contact with one another some years before, he had one day returned to the city as suddenly as he had left it. Soon after starting up a peculiar profession that skirted the line of legality to a dangerous degree. The kind of profession that could easily involve himself in the affairs of many of an unscrupulous individual, or so I believed. Just what did that idiot think he was doing? He walked out of my life without warning and walked back in much the same. I had spent so much time searching for him. I knew our reunion would be an awkward one based on how we parted, but for him to return after all that waiting, all that searching, and dive into some questionable enterprise so different from my own was almost too much to bear. It gave rise to many concerns as a bracer, and many more concerns as a friend. And the one that bothered me the most was, why hadn't he come to see me? Did he have any idea how worried I was about him? How worried I am about him? Irritation building, I took a large gulp of my cocktail, but the alcohol only fanned the flames of anger burning in my heart. They burned brighter and brighter still, becoming a dazzling white that projected countless transient images of the past. Then, just as quickly as it had flared, my anger faded in an instant, replacing itself with a very different emotion altogether. Why did you leave me? The words slipped from my mouth without me realizing it, making me feel downright pitiful once they were said, if someone were to see me in this state. You still haven't moved on, I see. A familiar but unexpected voice called out to me. Causing me to jump slightly from surprise, I quickly regained my composure. I just have a few choice words I'd like to say. My response feigned calmness as best I could. I couldn't help but think I had more than a few choice words, really, but following up with that would aid my annoyance in a way I would rather not further. Oh, I imagine you have more than a few. Right, of course he would see right through me. The bespectacled man and then sat down next to me as though our running into each other was no coincidence. He was another childhood friend of both myself and one I was lamenting over, and someone who followed a remarkably different career path from either one of us. If it's still bothering you that much, why not just go and see him? You already have his address by now, surely. How could I, with how much time has passed? As I mumbled my response meekly, I thought I could hear the man next to me chuckle. Well then, I suppose there's no need to rush things. With our lines of work, I'm sure your paths will cross naturally enough, if in due time. I didn't expect that kind of response. You make it sound so romantic. Lest you have forgotten, I don't struggle with expressing what's in my heart the way he does. Now, since you're here, how about a toast? I'll, make your next one non-alcoholic. And lest you have forgotten, I can handle my liquor just fine, thank you very much. We then spent the rest of the time reminiscing about the past. It had been too long since we were able to just sit and talk like this. It wasn't like he and I had become estranged, but both our jobs made it a trying task to meet, even at the best of times. By the way, I've heard word you turned down becoming an A-rank bracer again? Of course, that wouldn't escape the CID's ears. The information itself wasn't confidential, but that he already knew something, however unofficial it was entirely typical of him. The Bracer Guild focused on protecting civilians, while the CID focused solely on the needs of the president in office. The groups were neither enemies nor allies. They simply had very different goals where work was concerned. So in other words, the CID act isn't like the Erebonian government, and actually understands that, hey, bracers should not be fucking condemned. We should not be stupid about this, right? They just have a different MO. Like, like adjusting the pants so that it's not pissing me off. There we go. I know it isn't my place to tell you to accept the offer, however. He paused before resuming, his tone becoming markedly more serious. The times we live in demand a new hero, that much is clear. I had no idea what a realist like him was trying to say by implying I was a hero. But before I could inquire further, he changed the subject. That was likely what brought him to find me in the first place. Now, if you don't mind, I have something that will be of interest to you regarding those missing children. My eyes widened with unexpected change. From the unexpected change, he continued. We've identified the group that made that district their turf, as well as have compelling evidence of a crime taking place. You may proceed as you like in cooperation with the police. I couldn't believe it. On a fine silver platter, he had given me just cause to act, and since the information came from the CID, there was no reason to doubt its veracity. I felt it, and I was on the verge of rekindling my girlhood desires. All I had done until now was follow life where it was taking me, and yet here I found myself before a new path that could lead me to that someone I once wanted to be. This deviation terrified me. What if it had led me to losing someone again? What if it ended in more pain? My fear begged me to stay idle. I was a fragile human being at my core. I knew it well. It made me wish I was anything but. It inspired me to take up the sword and rebel against any whispers of weakness, and I played the part admirably on the surface. But if I were forced to face this cruel reality in the future, I wondered, would my heart be able to take it? As I sidestepped to the left, I shifted my center of gravity and unleashed a flurry of slashes against my first foe, using that momentum to thrust both myself and my blade toward my second. Two low-ranking mobsters fell to the ground. They were members of a mafia I had been chasing, and right now I was in the thick of their den of operations. My friend gave the guild and police the excuse we needed to take a more direct stance against our targets. His information was vague, however, so we still had to discern their precise location on our own. I, Zin, and several other bracers agreed it would be best to split our forces and attack several locations in unison for this part of our mission. Based on what transpired, it appeared my location was the lucky winner. There's the intruder. Hey, I've seen her before. She's from the paper. Two more reinforcements arrived, and I was hardly going to give them time to act. I raced forward, swinging my sword twice as I passed them, and they fell before they could even raise their weapons. I advanced. Mobsters appeared in droves. Presumably, word of my arrival had already spread. There she is! She's that bracer word's been going around about. Well, damn it. What if the immovable's here too? Don't be chicken shit. It's one woman. We can take her. Do I have to list off all of the female characters we've met up to this point? I mean, again, is that what I need to do? Fuck. They then charged me in a mass, at least 10 of them, and with more reinforcements on their way from farther inside the building. Okay, well... Excuse me. Well, that's better-ish. They then... read all that. Forcing my way through with how many they had in their number was risky. I knew the sensible thing would be for me to wait for the other bracers to show, but I also had to consider, what if my waiting afforded the Mafia the time to wield the children as hostages? Weighing the two options, I concluded that whatever reduced the chances of that happening was worth the cost. I needed to push and settle this, now. Besides, I believed I had nothing to fear from this pitiful group as they were. Were they seasoned combat veterans, they could have used their numerical advantage to implement complex formations and corner me. But they did no such thing, the amateurs. And they dared to believe they held a candle to Hayaway's martial artists? In the face of one of my experience, their bloated size was more a hindrance than a help. They wouldn't be able to utilize even half of their potential against me. I first had to position myself and then appropriately. If I could ensure the gun-toting wielders among them were in each other's line of fire, or while rounding up close-range fighters to a single point, they would soon have bigger worries. Friendly fire. Their vulnerabilities would then spell my victory as I cut them down. 1 down, 2 down. The precious seconds after defeating a foe were the most advantageous. It's just as a man had fallen, I was on to another before they had time to adjust to my incoming blade. There was no pattern to who was next by design. I chose my targets with stunning erraticism, throwing them into complete disarray as more collapsed to the ground. 3 down, 4. I would go around them in a wide circle. I would move between them while remaining ever aware of any surprise assaults at my back. I waded through them till I encountered the ones farthest back. These ones never even considered I would be able to reach them. They were spread so carelessly. The men took up their guns and with newly alert panic strewn across their faces, but their fate was already sealed. They were powerless as I closed the gap between us. 5, 6, 7. With over half of their number down, the remaining mobsters were quickly losing their will to counter. Some attacked out of adrenaline-induced desperation, calculating their next move so poorly that they fell into my long-set trap and accidentally attacked themselves. Sorry about that. My nose is bugging me today. Ugh. At this point, the battle was as good as final. All I had to do was continue taking them down till I was the last one standing. There were smaller groups I encountered on my way through the building, but I was able to disable them with little effort. The path they opened up for me eventually led me to their leader. He was a middle-aged fellow pacing restlessly around in an unpleasantly gaudy room until I entered. He twitched in fear at the very sight of me. "Why are you here? Where are my men?" Kissing the floors. I answered so calmly and concisely that he balked in disbelief. "That's impossible! I sweat my balls off to build this group from the ground up, and you're saying a girl like you tore it all down just like that?" I ignored his crude language and drew closer as I thrust my sword or till it was just between his eyes. He let out a squeal. Well, I'm no ordinary girl. I'm a bracer. And don't worry, I didn't kill them. They have only been knocked out or restrained. You'll be seeing them again soon, in prison. I shot a darkened glare in his direction as the tip of my sword wandered downward to his neck. Now I have some questions for you, and you will answer them. The man nodded emphatically, his whole body trembling with fear. 2 children, a boy and a girl under 10 years old, disappeared last month. Your people abducted them, didn't they? He nodded. I knew it. Then where are they? What did you do to them? They're in a room farther inside. They're alive. At last I could breathe a sigh of relief. My most fundamental objective when coming here could be fulfilled. Next, I needed to ask him more about his group. I thought you all seemed far too weak to be charged of this district of the city, but after coming across your account book, everything fell into place. You're working on behalf of someone else, aren't you? He was so unsure of how to respond that he fell completely silent, but that alone gave me my answer. Who is it then? Tell me. Is it A? I can't. He flinched in fear as I pressed him, resisting as though he genuinely couldn't say. Then, just as he opened his trembling lips to speak, I heard a strange thudding sound from outside the room. I stepped away from the man, and my sword still firmly in hand. And crunching, squelching, splattering. More sounds, these more audible than the first. I didn't know what to make of them, but they had made me feel an instinctive revulsion as they dragged on. They may have come accompanied by some faint groans, but if they did, they faded just as soon as the sounds themselves. I remained on guard as I stepped out into the hallway, ready to be attacked from any angle at any moment, and the sight that greeted me defied all imagination. The mobsters I fought through mere minutes before were now nothing more than the distorted, mutilated piles of flesh and bone. Not just 1 or 2, every single one of them without exception had been reduced to blood-eddied mounds. Some were without heads, others had their organs ripped from their abdomens, and then there were those with their skulls caved in and leaking pulverized brain matter, or the ones with their hearts pulled and squeezed. Each corpse was different. Each corpse was unbearable to look at. The plain hallway I traversed with all due speed was now covered in a sticky, slimy red. Who could have done something like this? The sight was so awful, my free hand was now clenched and shook with disgust. When was it ever necessary to go this far? What could anyone have to gain from this? Wait, no! Oh, I realized I just made a very careless mistake. I turned and hurried back into the room I was just in. I was too late. The Mafia's leader was floating in the air at the center of the room, as though some unknown force was holding him up by his chest. A monstrous sword pierced through his chest. A single streak of blood dripped from his unspeaking mouth. There was no room to believe he was anything but dead. Like all the others in the hallway, he didn't even have time to scream before his life was taken. Who are you? I barked at the center of the room, trying to drown out my instinctive fear with anger. At a glance, only the corpse and I were present, but if I strained my eyes, I could see the faint contours of another distorting in the space around them. It must have been some form of active camouflage. I would have thought it a basic courtesy to give your name before asking another's charming ace of the Bracer Guild. It was a man's voice that projected true arrogance, as though he was above all others as a matter of course. I instinctively readied myself for battle and response, but my actions seemed not to faze him in the slightest. No need to be spoiling for a fight. I am simply here to take out the trash after they were careless enough to leave a trail for the CID to follow. Was I really talking to a fellow human being? How could he speak with such gruesome murders in those terms? Are you a business partners of theirs? No, you must be from the group above them. Very good. He then swung his blade to the slide and tossed the corpse off to the side, with all the respect of a used cigarette. How could you treat people you worked with like this? People? Have you your ears? I said nothing about taking out a person, only trash. The same applies to the garbage piling up in the hallway. They have always been so, even before they stopped breathing. It was clear that communicating with someone of this nature was impossible. I dismissed calm reason for an intense, all-consuming anger so great that my entire body, he couldn't stop trembling. You monster! Before I knew it, I had spun into action, pouring every drop of my strength into my blade to launch a swift, unavoidable strike. But he repelled it with one vertical swing of his own. This one exchange was enough to tell me that his strength was well a league above mine. He parried my blow at the most perfect instant, canceling out the force of my attack with so little effort that it barely scratched the surface of what he was capable of. The act of camouflage did nothing to hide the monstrous nature of his cruciform sword, either. Its design combined silver and black in an unholy fusion of darkness and light, as if chaos itself dwelled within its very blade. It was no common weapon. Even if I continued to give it my all, my odds of winning against him were extremely slim. But at the same time, my instincts were screaming at me that I could not allow him to leave. I charged again. If attacking him from the front wasn't going to work, then I would go for his side. He blocked that attack with just as little effort, but I wasn't done yet. I refused to stop moving, slashing a third with even more speed than the first two. I showered him in a flurry of them, each one faster than the last. When I finally reached my physical limit, I darted in a new direction, attacking him from behind. I put my very soul into one overwhelming attack aimed directly at his rear, which I could only just make out through the camouflage as his distortion. I got him! However, the second I became sure that victory was within my grasp, his cruciform blade carved a great arc through the air in a ferocious spinning slash. I was able to instantly defend myself against the blow, but the force of it sent me flying backward. I was fortunate enough to not have sustained a direct hit, but my body shook from now being able to fully cancel out its massive weight. Still, I forced myself back to my feet and glared at his form. The difference between us was night and day. It felt as though he could manipulate the very flow of battle, much like a master of martial arts who understood the true nature of all things. He paid no mind to my pitiful attempt at bravado and gave a short laugh before speaking. Impressive. You put up more of a fight than the rumors had led me to believe. What's your goal? What are you trying to do with all your strength? I expected him to reject or ignore me, so I was taken aback when he paused for a sincere moment of thought before answering. An interesting question. I suppose to instill fear. Fear? I almost doubted my ears. Fear is the heart of all we know. Domination and servitude, order, harmony, and production. All of it exists because of fear. That is why I seek to instill fear in its purest form, much like the retributive tower that appeared in Crossbell half a year ago. Such a pity that it fell, though there was such pleasure in his words that it made it easy to imagine the expression on his veiled face. As insane as what he was saying sounded to me, I knew he meant every word of it. You really are a monster. Continue your fruitless attempts to stop me, and you'll understand what I mean in due time. He lowered his blade. As a parting gift for assisting me in my house cleaning efforts, I will let you and those children go. Keep that far too pristine blade sharp for our next meeting, Bracer. With that, he turned to leave. Wait! Just as I extended my hand, and the ground below him emitted a bright glow, and by the time that glow had faded, he was gone. He had likely used the same teleportation spell that certain other criminal organizations were known to rely on. His departure also released all the strength I had left in me, not from relief, but from the exact opposite. I was so overwhelmed with frustration that I let him leave, so afraid of what he'd go on to do because I couldn't stop him, that I lost the strength to even stand. Of course, this is just who I've always been. I haven't changed one bit since the day you left me. I'm still the same powerless girl I was back then. Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. Or, you just kind of met somebody outside of your weight class. My work here wasn't finished yet. I walked to the next room. I opened the door and was greeted by what appeared to be an old storage space. There, across the hall, I found who I was searching for. The brother and sister pair were crouched against the wall, the boy trembling on the floor as his sister stood close by. Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. I'm here to help you. I kept my tone as gentle and reassuring as I was able. The girl smiled while her older brother continued to hide his face. I slowly walked toward them, careful not to make any sudden movements, but as I did, the boy shook his head vigorously. His whole body trembled more the closer I got, and as though he were telling me to stay away. The answer from that man flashed in my mind. Fear is at the heart of all we know. These poor children were very much in fierce clutches. No matter how gradual I was in closing the distance between myself and the boy, trying my best not to provoke him, his body language showed he continued to reject me. We were now within arm's length of one another. His shaking grew more violent, and though he opened his mouth to speak, his voice refused to come out. It's all right. I smiled a most comforting smile. After that, I reached out behind me and grasped the blade of the knife that was being thrust toward me. I turned swiftly, my fingers never letting go, and found the one gripping the hilt to be none other than the sister. She had tiptoed around my back while I was kneeling to meet her brother and tried to stab me from behind. She was a bit startled by my halting her attack, but otherwise she started blinking blankly forward, emotion on her face nowhere to be seen. I suppose he was right about fear. It controls everything we do. You must have been through something terrifying if it made you resort to this. No doubt they were now conditioned by fear to attack anyone who came to their rescue. I paid no mind to the blood from my bare hand and slowly dripping to the floor. The cut from the knife, it was nothing compared to everything else in the moment. My first priority, instead, was to reassure the girl that I meant no harm. But we humans are capable of more than giving in to that fear. We can fight it. With courage, we can fight it. Your brother was doing just that now. Oh, he may have been gripped by fear, but he still fought his hardest through his actions to alert me of the danger his sister posed. Even if it took all he had, he wanted to keep me safe and keep her from committing an irreversible, regrettable act. It was thanks to him that I noticed that she was what she was trying to do. You don't have to be afraid anymore. I'm a bracer. I'll keep you safe. I took the girl into my arms. You're a bracer? Even her voice was devoid of emotions. That's right. I'm here to help you. Oh, I think I've seen you in a magazine before. Something Blade, I think? That's right, the nickname is a little embarrassing, but I'd be happy if you remembered it. That way, as long as you hear it, you'll know I'm here to keep you out of harm's way. I tighten my grip around her as if to stop anything more from hurting her and surround her heart with my warmth. It really will be okay, I promise. I noticed her eyes twitch just slightly, and before long, her eyes filled with tears. Soon she began to sniffle, at first just a small one here and there, until they gradually grew more pronounced, eventually turning into uncontrollable sobs. She had finally been liberated from her fear. As for me, I had stayed my course. I was too afraid to deviate from my current path. Still, I had chosen this path with pride in my heart. I didn't think it right to turn my back on it now, but it wasn't going. What I wasn't going to let it be an aimless journey from now on either. And so, it was another day in the Edith branch of Calvard's Guild. It sounds like that mafia was trying to copy what the other organization of assassins managed to pull off. I was discussing the recent case with Zen. The siblings had indeed been abducted because they witnessed an illegal transaction. The mafia involved thought to mimic a group of assassins known for raising children with the intent of turning them into professional killers. Their attempts, thankfully, proved as unsuccessful as their attempts to remain covert in selling drugs. The CID found them, and whoever they were working for purged them. Hell of a way to go. If I hadn't been so incompetent, maybe they wouldn't have been purged at all. Don't beat yourself up about it. The Guild's priority is to keep civilians safe, not criminals. I don't want to say they deserved it for getting involved in organized crime, but it is what it is. Try putting that frustration you're feeling into more personal growth instead of letting it eat you alive. I was told that while the siblings were going to need psychological counseling for some time, they were fully expected to recover and go back to their everyday lives. My meeting with them had triggered something inside of me. I came to realize that something needed to change. I had to take some kind of step forward. Even if it ended in me falling into the floor in some dramatic fashion, I just needed to pick myself back up again. With that in mind, I accepted my multiple recommendations. The times we live in demand a new hero. Doing so made me think of what my childhood friend said to me. I didn't believe I had what it took to be a hero, but if I could be even just a brief one able to give the people hope and banish the darkness ahead, then that was reason enough to keep going. Maybe that could make somebody enough, make me somebody enough to fight alongside the real hero once they came to light. Well, shall we get down to business? Zen turned to face me, his classic broad grin even broader than usual. It'll be a while longer before the official paperwork arrives from headquarters, but I'm sure they won't mind me speeding up this part of the process with how much they wanted this. The Republic now has a bracer who reached A rank, at the same age as the Empire's Purple Lightning. Congrats on your promotion, Ina Claire. Beauty's Blade. Forward, sword in hand. The end. Yeah, I'll give that a plus. Okay. 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 Looks like we're done. Looks like we're done. Suspension of causality recording engine activity confirmed. Forced connection into astral link severed. The whirlpool of causality engulfing Erebos and the fated land and has at last been unraveled. Though the bell ringing in the end of days has yet to be silenced. You, children of Zemuria, have earned your moment of peace until the time comes to face the final hour. Until you, with hope and fear in your hearts, must walk new trails. Okay. Okay, are we done? Okay. Looks like we're done.
Lab of Reminiscence activated.
Fuck, finally. Oh my god, finally. Okay. Alright. Let's get a save in. Ugh. Alright. Okay. Now, one last thing to do before we get to the audit. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna go do. I was just thinking that. I'm like, okay, time to go make a new Game Plus file. Well, which I guess is the last the last positive I need to jot down for the before the audit, isn't it? Huh? Because I haven't given the new Game Plus thingy yet. All right, so let's save some clear data. One more time. Once more unto the breach, dear friends. Alright. So now that we've done that... I figured I'd dramatize it. Alright. Now... the last thing left. Okay, I guess I need to hit new game. Okay, hang on. Transfer stuff from Cold Steel 4, yeah. Okay, that's not how to activate New Game Plus. Okay, nope, skip all then. Oops. As the load logo blinks several times. Yeah, I need to load it. Okay. God damn it. Okay. I know, shut up. Oh my god, shut up. Okay.
It ends here.
We're just gonna... Oh, come on. Come on, there we go.
Yep.
Oh my god. Shut up.
Hope you're
Yep. This isn't... This isn't...
Okay.
Battle's wrapped up.
Yep, still causing me problems. So yeah, we will definitely not be on my PS4, or at least for the next week, if I even stream next week. Okay. All right. I guess I could have just loaded. Okay. All right, let's try this again. Oh, there we go. It was right above the frickin' backups. Alright, there we go. Oh! Okay, that's actually kind of neat. Neat. I can actually just keep going with the post game if I want, or I can just start New Game Plus right away. That's actually pretty cool. I like that. Alright, let's check New Game Plus. And see if we're giving it a plus, because duh. Okay, select what you would like to be carried over. All downloadable content will be marked as unused, as per usual. Lloyd Reen and Rufus's routes also share the same inventory from the very beginning in New Game Plus. Okay, that's cool. Carrying over Reverie Corridor status. You gotta select Reverie Corridor notebook data to begin New Game Plus. That's what the Reverie Corridor is set in the post-game status that is normally seen after completing the main story. Oh, so in other words, if I want to have the Reverie Corridor just fully unlocked in New Game Plus, I can select that. Okay, that's actually not bad. Oh, okay, so we've actually got some options here. Okay, and then okay, and then this is if I want to actually unlock the ability to boost the enemy's levels. Okay, that's actually kind of cool. I like that. I'll just leave that off, obviously. So we'll go ahead and we'll just carry over that, because why not? Cold Steel 3 and Cold Steel 4 data. Hero's Testament is their own capsule. Cold Steel 4. Or, all items earned will be after a certain point in the story, blah, 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 blah. Skip all of that nonsense. Now, let's see if the tutorials will go the hell away. Hey, because I'm on New Game Plus now. Shut up.
Yeah.
It's my turn.
It's up. Yeah.
Leave it to me.
Yeah.
Here I go. About time.
Yeah. This isn't...
Battle's wrapped up. Hope you guys are doing good.
Okay. Okay. And yeah, they're all at their respective levels. Cool. We've got all of our items carried over. Alright, yeah. That is indeed a New Game Plus. And a good one. Alright, cool. Alright. So, one more gameplay positive to throw on the board, and then it's time to audit this sucker. And I should just add this one, because I know it's going to be added. Alright, so we are adding, before the audit, we are adding 2 more gameplay positives, 1 for New Game Plus and 1 for playability. Because, of course, I'm adding those. So, with that, that is 183 minus 91, so 92. Okay. And 202 versus 73. So the score is sitting at, before the audit, is sitting at 129 to story and plus 92 to gameplay, which is a heck of a lot closer than I expected. So, time for the audit. So we are going to can this music, and we're going to turn that audio back on and boot up my Spotify, because it is time for the audit process. Alrighty, let us begin. That's volume 3, I don't need volume 3. That's volume 2, I don't need volume 2. Okay. Alright. Let us continue. Okay, no. I want the shuffle on. Damn you. Okay. Now, let's close that, because I don't need that. What I do need, though, is I need a new tab. And I need the audit standards. Alrighty. So, as per usual, we're going to go ahead and we're going to audit this sucker. So we're going to start, as ever, with the story. I definitely have given animation positives. I know that. 3 of them, in fact. So, cool. Atmosphere. I don't think I've given an atmosphere plus. Do I want to? Well, let's see if I have first. No, I have not. Okay, cool. And by cool, I mean eh. Okay. So, atmosphere and tone, yeah. Babylon 5 effect. It meaning something different when you go through it the second time. Actually, well, yeah, you know what? I'll save that. I will say wash to Babylon 5 effect. Background lore, meh. Banter. Okay, that's a good question. Did I give a banter plus? I gave 2. Cool. Branching narrative, not really. Really. Because it doesn't really... Well, No, because I feel like it's too disconnected. Hected, and I already gave a plus for the scene where it does connect. Yeah, I don't know. I just with that one. Sprite work was a triple positive, and I gave a single brickwork. Brickwork. I believe it was a single positive. Yep. Brickwork was a single positive. So, meh. Camera work, I gave a couple of pluses. I was actually surprised that I gave that pluses. Characters, yeah, several. Cinematics and cutscenes, yeah, several. Consequence storytelling. This is going to seem a little weird, but I'm actually going to give a negative for consequence storytelling. Because it has been done, because I think it's done badly. You know what? No, I've already done that. That's the whole SSS or arrogant thing. Because again, it's fabricating crap that cutscene incompetence. I believe I've given that. I believe I have said my piece on that. Let's double check. Let's see. Cutscene incompetence. 2. I gave 2 negatives to cutscene incompetence. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say 2 is good enough for that. Dialogue, doodads, I gave a plus. Empty text. I think I gave an empty text negative. Yep, and I also gave a fake drama negative. Okay. Endgame, postgame optionals. Optionals on the story. On the story, I'm just gonna say wash. That's for the postgame. There was some good stuff, but for the most part, it's just been eh. External continuity. Okay. Let's see what we got here. External continuity is just the 1, and I gave it 3. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. Do it. Where is the... which thing in particular? Axor. Or because I have a tendency to be kind of with that. Okay. Yes, there are specific ones that are always negative because I hate them, and there's not a situation where I can see them being good. Cutscene incompetence, empty text, fake drama. Those 3 are always going to be negative, specifically. If you give me a moment, I will see if there's any others. Let's see. Padding is definitely going to be... If I call something padding, that's always a negative. Because, as you know, if it's not padding, then it's just content, you know? Yeah. So, really just those 4. Or padding, empty text, cutscene incompetence, and fake drama. Because who wants fake drama in their fiction? Really? Give me something that's dramatic, instead of melodrama. I'm going to be mad at you for no fucking reason, even though it makes way more sense for me to not be mad at you and realize that some other shit is going on. I.e., the very thing that got avoided, that has been avoided multiple times in this franchise. In particular in Cold Steel 4 and here in Reverie. Right? Like, we sidestepped the whole drama of, yo, you're full of shit that there's two Rufuses with the SSS when it was revealed, right? But yeah. Okay, so yeah. So I'm going to just say that the external continuity is as good as bad, and I'm going to say triple negative mostly because of Lloyd's route. Lloyd's route is absolutely the worst use of external continuity in the whole series, in my opinion. Good lord. All right. Now fake drama. Let's see. What do we got? Alright, I think I did give a negative for fake drama. Let's see. I gave 2 negatives to fake drama. Yeah, mostly because of Lloyd's route. Oh, because yeah, Lloyd might not. There might not have been any fake drama when it came to Rufus, but there was fake drama all throughout Lloyd's route. Good lord. Foreshadowing. Alright, well, let's see if I gave foreshadowing. Oh, I did. Okay, we are good. Foreshadowing has been given. Cool. Humor was a triple positive. Don't really need to say more there. Integration and segregation. Pretty sure I gave that a plus, because that's gameplay story integration. Okay, and... Okay, no, I gave both. Cool. Well, internal continuity. Okay. Let's go ahead and give internal continuity a plus. So yeah, we're gonna add a triple positive for internal continuity. Intro, I've said my piece. Lighting, and didn't really add to it. Localization, we gave a plus. Moments, several. MSQ, I pretty much have said my piece on several of those. Music direction, I pretty sure I gave. Hang on. Music direction. Where are you? Voice direction I gave. But what about music direction? Nope. Nope. I gave it a triple positive because yes, I agree with that. NPC set dressing liminal effect? Yes. Outro. Oh, actually, that's a good question. How did I mark the outro? Okay, yeah. So, yeah. Outro is good. Pacing. Good question. Pacing. Wow. Oh, wow. Really? I didn't just give a general pacing? Alright. Well, let's fix that, shall we? Let's go to here. Good pace. Whoops. Good pacing throughout. That is admittedly one thing I will not throw Lloyd's route under the bus over. Mostly. Because I do think overall the game has some good pacing. Now, let's shift down to the gameplay next, because I should give a pacing positive. So, yay. It's a bit early, but I'm going to give that on the gameplay axis as well. Actually, speaking of that, I should just leave this on. God damn it. No padding. No mentioning of padding. I kind of mentioned it during it, but yeah. But honestly, I think it's just overall. I'll I gave a positive to each route on all the different things, and then I decided to just give the game overall a pacing positive, because I actually do think there's a lot of good pacing throughout the entire game. So, no padding. I agree with that. This is actually, honestly, I would argue there is no padding here. Like, at all. I would argue there is absolutely no padding on display here. So. But yeah. I gave each route positives or negatives, but I didn't really, I wasn't going to rate each route individually for overall stuff like that. Plot, I'm going to say wash. Primary optionals, Princess Peach segments, I mean, it's different routes, so I'm going to say no, not really, because there's no point in, like, say, Rean's route where we go and we see what Yuna's up to, and there's no part of, say, Lloyd's route where we go and we see what Randy's up to, which would have been nice, honestly. But oh well. Secondary content, sound design, story sequencing, storyboarding got pluses, storytelling mechanics, themes. You know what? Let's add a themes plus. Hello, document. There we go. Good use of the theme of understanding yourself. Oh. This is present with Lloyd, Reen, and especially Rufus and Lapis. So plus to themes, absolutely. Visual continuity, yeah, and not too much changing visually throughout the game to continue the story. Visual storytelling, though, is on point. Absolutely. Ooh, good question. How many pluses did voice acting get? Give me a sec here. Oh, whoops. Oh, wow, really? Okay. That means I need to X that out. Because that's, I put that in gameplay. Oops. Because I put it at the pacing, put it beside pacing, so it was like, oh, hey, okay, yeah, it should be here. Except, no. Okay. Oh, yeah, I guess we only gave Unit 2, but I stand behind that. Okay. Now that's where I want that. God damn it. Oh, whoops. No, there we go. Alright. Voice acting. So we'll give a second voice acting plus. Voice direction, I've said my piece. World building, yeah. And the writing 10,000 years problem. I don't think this game suffers from not understanding scale. I think this game understands scale pretty well. Alright, so at the end of the audit now, unless you want to add anything, Raxor, it looks like we are ending with... Eight. 208 positives to the story. And 76 negatives. So. Didn't really have anything? Okay. So... That means the story is ending with 208 positives and 76 negatives, which puts us at, that should be 132 if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So that means we are sitting... Well, you know what? I'll display it after. So... Yeah, I didn't think the score would dip. Dip story-wise. But yeah, so that makes a large degree of sense. Alright, on to the gameplay now. Alright. All roads lead to Rome. No, branching from a gameplay perspective. Not really. I mean, yeah, well... Actually, you know what? I'm actually gonna say it's better from the perspective of... It's better handled from the perspective of gameplay, actually, more than the story. Because Lloyd's route felt like it was kind of disjointed story-wise for a long time. However, yeah. So, positive there. First time I've ever given a all roads lead to Rome positive, believe it or not. Animations. Yup, I gave combat animations a plus. Audio spam. There's another one that's always negative. Negative because, yeah, I don't like audio spam, to be honest. Well, I guess I should just check if audio spam is a thing, and it is not. Okay. Whoops. No. I want that. There we go. Alright, now the question is, where do I put it? Because I do, unfortunately, have to give an audio spam negative. We'll put it here. Audio spam. Alternate leveling mechanics? Not really. Backtracking? Pfft. Ha! I have dabbled in Xenoblade 1. Hun. Is my answer to that. I have the closest I have come to beating Xenoblade 1 is watching a playthrough of Xenoblade 1. I have played it, I have never beaten it. But I do know what happens in it. If that makes any sense. So yeah, there is absolutely no backtracking in this game, and I will not hear otherwise. Vestuary is fine. My thing was frozen. Bosses. Yeah, said my piece. Oh, I know it's worse. That's why it's only one. I have only given one triple negative for audio spam. And that was to Fire Emblem Warriors. But yeah, I can name a couple of games where the audio spam would be a triple positive. Xenoblade 1? Xenoblade Run, I'm not sure would actually get multiples for audio spam, if I'm honest. Not really. Really. Xenoblade 2, absolutely. Absolutely. Good lord. Lord. If for no other reason than the fact that there's a whole bunch of lines that are just repeated ad nauseum. Awesome. I mean, I can't tell you how sick and tired I got out of Rex in Xenoblade 2 saying, "We'll beat them with the power of friendship." God. Yeah. Xenoblade 2 is a good game with a bad mechanic in it. I will go ahead and say that. Xenoblade 2 is not a bad game. It just has one of my absolute most hated mechanics ever. Like, okay, the Reverie corridor has the whole ceiling stones, and that gives you a whole bunch of items and shit. Now imagine your entire fighting force is based upon an RNG that you cannot manipulate. And we're talking like really bad RNG. Oh, you want this ridiculously super rare thing? Well, good luck, because unless you know where to farm the damn things and spend hours, plural, farming the core crystals? Oh, God. Ugh. Now, 3, I don't know anything about, admittedly. The only thing I know is that it ties the stories of the trilogy together. That's about all I know, you know? So, can't speak to that one. Alright, we didn't encounter any real bugs. My controller was more bugged than anything. Builds and combos. That was the quartz. Yep, quartz. And Master Quartz, so that takes care of classes. Built-in cheats, camera, choices, controls, core combat, yep. Core mechanics, NX, yeah. Ooh yeah, cosmetics. That's what I need to take a check for. Did I give cosmetics? I didn't. Alright, well, if any game in this... well, if any game in this entire... if any, thingy... Oh, man. I don't even know how to get mods onto the Switch. It's because, you know, and I don't really want to brick my Switch kind of thing, so... We'll put it here. Alright. Okay. Crafting. In crashes? Nope. Difficulty curve. That is a good question. Let us check difficulty curve. Okay. Did I give a third? I did not, so... Okay. So, difficulty curve has been spoken for. Difficulty options, I'm just going to leave that alone. Durability. Ability doesn't really apply. Early game, encounter rate. Encounters. Okay. Let's check this. Encounters. I did not. Okay. In that case... Where's the core combat? That's where I'll put it. Actually, oh, here, that works. Encounters feel well designed and are fun to fight. Okay. Oh, yes. That's a good question. Do we have enemy variety? I do not have enemy variety down. Alright. Hang on. Oh, here it is. Okay. Good enemy variety. Worthy of... I'll say 2 positives. Endgame, postgame optionals, fast travel. You'll, got all that. I gotcha. No. Graphics, we're fine. The zen of leveling this time. Guidance and flow of exploration. Yeah. Hubs and towns. Yeah. HUD, I've said my piece. Hyper beam. Was there a hyper beam or hyper fail moment? Not really. Not really. I never felt like there was a moment of just like, meh, with that. Info in game, I've said my piece. Integration and segregation, I've said my piece. Piece, interface, intro, Inventory and itemization? Yep. Kit? Yep. Late game launch doesn't really apply because there's no real stupid crap involving that. Level scaling doesn't apply. Not really. Lighting, hitting, eh. The retry offset is awesome. Log, map, mid-game, mid-mission checkpointing, MSQ, eh. No real mod. Well, I mean, there kind of is on the PC version, but I'm not reviewing the PC version, so shrug. Music? Actually, that's a good question. How many pluses did the music get? Give me a moment. I gave... We're just gonna up that to 3. There we go. New Game Plus, optional options, outro, overworld design, pacing, said my piece. This has fantastic pacing, in my opinion. This has good pacing. Power progression curve was a triple. Primary optionals. Primary optional. Princess Peach sections, there were none. Quality of life is all over the place. Replayability, yep. No real railroading. Well, kind of. There's railroading, but not really. Raspberry Jam, respec, no. Save system, got a couple of pluses. Secondary. And no individual songs got my blood pumping. I almost want to add a plus to Atrocious Raid, to be honest with you, but it went back in Cold Steel 1, but yeah. It's too late. The numbers are already locked in for everything except this game, so. Sound design, strategic later, starting options, terrain design, trash design, traversal mechanics, tutorialization, unintentional skipping, unskippable cutscenes. Oh god. Yeah, I would have to literally hand in my reviewer card if I gave this game an unskippable cutscenes negative. This is literally the most well-crafted skippability of the cutscenes that I have ever seen. There is literally... you literally can either skip an entire collection of cutscenes or just the individual scene you're in. So, yeah. Alright, next up is Viscerality, which I did not give. Oh my god, what the hell am I thinking? Oh. You know what? No, let's up that to 2. Second... I didn't even realize I was still debating that. Visual storytelling positive. So I am wrong. This is actually 209. There. Okay. Now that I've done that, let's scroll down and give a Viscerality plus. Viscerality is on point and when the game is not cheating, I feel damn powerful to the tune of a full 3 positives. I'll be honest with you, I figured it would have taken the God of Wars to do that. And if I'm honest. Visual continuity, visual distinction, walkthrough-itis, and Yoshi drums. Actually, did I give a walkthrough-itis negative? There's another one. Yeah, I gave 1. And that's fair. Here, I think. Alright, so, at the end of all of that, we are ending with 196 gameplay positives and 92 gameplay negatives. Only one gameplay negative added. Hot damn. That's impressive. So 196 minus 92. So that means our final score for Trails into Reverie is 130 plus 133 to the story, and plus 104 to gameplay. Holy shit, that is closer than I thought it would be. So, it doesn't quite reach the heights. Oh, I also forgot to do this. An unconventional student. There we go. Alright, so that means I need to mark that this got a final score of plus 237. Which is plus 133 story and plus 104 gameplay. Which means we are indeed ending with a final session count of 19. One more thing I need to add, actually, before I do that, I should update the document. So, oh, that's just the full version. So, the ultimate question now remains with 104 and 133 as our count here. Alright, so the ultimate question now. Does that track? With this being my favorite gameplay by over 50 points. But less than half the story score. You know what? No, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. I am okay with putting Reverie at that slot. And then that means that I still say that it doesn't quite reach Cold Steel 3 for me. But damn. So, in case you're wondering, this only scored 20 points lower. It only missed is Cold Steel 3 by 20 points. If Lloyd's route hadn't been a giant fucking character, a giant ball of character assassination for the SSS and Ilya, holy fuck! Like I actually would be saying that Reverie is my favorite Trails game. As it sits, this is my favorite Trails game to play, absolutely. But yeah, story-wise, I still think Cold Steel 3 is better. So yeah, I'd just like to remind you that this game's gameplay is what really was carrying it through a lot of this. Like, I mean, for God's sakes, a large portion of the game, I'm pretty sure the gameplay had overtaken the goddamn story. That was how insane this was. So, god damn. That's crazy. That is insane for me. But I stand behind it. This is absolutely one of my favorite. This is definitely a game I will play again and feel like I can actually play it. There's no asterisk here, right? There's no, well, I'll play it again on New Game Plus. No, I could actually see myself just blasting through playing through this even without New Game Plus. I had fun through this run. I was just constantly loving every minute I was playing this game, right? This game ended with 19 sessions, and it did not feel like it. An Abyss run, I don't think I love it that much, but you know what? I could be tempted. I could actually be tempted to playing this game again. No question. Actually, let me see something. I could. Actually, let's see what would happen if I hit Abyss. Let's see. Nope, the levels stay there. You know what? I'm doing it. I am actually doing that. That was my thought. It's like, wait, if it's going to let me shift it up after, then why the hell not? Alright, let's do this. Wow, that was... I mean, granted, this is still just a prologue, but... Okay, hang on. There actually is a simpler way to check this. Alright, so let's shift this back up to normal. Let's go into the notebook. Battle. Orcus Tower. 98. Now, let's shift it back to Abyss. Oh, it's still only 98. Huh. But I guess their stats are... actually, no, it's their stats that are higher, isn't it? So 42. Yeah. Yeah. And then on normal, it's like 20,000. That's the easiest. That's right. It's not the levels that change. It's the whatchamacallit. And yeah, there it is. Oh my god, it actually does let you change difficulties on the fly. Hot damn! That's even better than Cold Steel 3 and 4 did, because on Cold Steel 3 and 4, if you hit Nightmare, you were locked into Nightmare. There, period. But here, I can shift it down and up if I want. Oh god, that actually is tempting. Okay, that is actually tempting. Oh, but yeah. So that's it. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Trails into Reverie. Oh my god, this is an amazing game. I highly recommend it. And I absolutely recommend it, especially if you have played and enjoyed the Trails series. This is, oh, I eat this up. This is amazing. I mean, I think the fact that this is my highest gameplay score by 50 goddamn points should really say everything it needs to. 54 points specifically, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I have my notebook right in front of me, so let's take a look. $55. Because my highest is plus 49, which, yes, was Cold Steel 3. And then Cold Steel 1 trailed behind that at plus 41 to gameplay. And then I think it was actually Cold Steel 4. Yes, Cold Steel 4 at 27. Yeah, wow. This is insane. Wow. This is great. So this isn't quite the end. I don't want to. I could just do my big wrap up thing now, but I kind of want to save that until tomorrow. Or if I'm honest, because I've got some other things to do today. So I am gonna risk it. I'm gonna chance it. I'm gonna do it. Actually, you know what? I should check something real quick. Heck, if you give me a moment. What? But that is... What do you mean that's not it? Oh, you dirty... There. Okay. Ugh. So let's see if I want that. Okay. I should have enough for an energy drink, yeah. Regardless though, I have one more stream planned for my return to Trails, a finale, if you will, where I will be giving you guys some, some numbers, honestly. Hang on. What is that? So, yeah. This has been a treat of a game. And I have definitely enjoyed the crap out of... I definitely enjoyed playing this one. So tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, I'm gonna go to do some paperwork, and then I will prep for the finale, of the Return to Trails. I'll see you next time. Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers signing out. Have a good one.